Chapter 26:12. Xiling nodded his head. If they found the wrong place, all their attacks would be in vain. Longao did not continue attacking. Instead, he covered the eye of the formation with his primordial spirit and sensed it carefully. Time passed by slowly. This time, we have to succeed. Holding the Chaos Axe tightly with both hands, Xiling's power surged into Longao's body once again. With a roar, the Chaos Axe in his hands struck out. Boom! There was a loud noise. It echoed throughout the entire Genling Mountain. It's finally broken. Xiling and Longao were not excited at all because they did not know what was sealed in Genling Mountain. They wouldn't believe that there wasn't anything strange about such a powerful super formation even if they were beaten to death. It was still that sentence. Longao was completely gambling this time. The entire Genling Mountain began to tremble violently. With the eye of the formation as the center, waves of black circles began to expand at an extremely fast speed. Longao and Xiling kept retreating. Their faces instantly turned serious. What was going on? 10 minutes later, the Genling Mountain stopped trembling. It had completely calmed down. The two of them did not step forward because they could sense that the eye of the formation in Genling Mountain was a passageway. As for where the passageway led to, they did not know. Longao, if we want to use this formation to protect the Empire, we have to first see what's going on with this passageway. He nodded his head. Longao certainly knew what Xiling meant. If they did not solve this problem, once they moved the Empire, they would not even have the chance to regret if something happened at the other end of the passageway. Let's enter the passageway? That's right. Let's go in and see. Longao was actually very afraid because they did not know what was inside the passageway. If they forced their way in, who knew what kind of danger they would encounter? Xiling, if it can be sealed by such a powerful formation, this passageway must not be simple. Let's not act rashly. Xiling did not say much. Just as the two of them were guessing what was inside the passageway, the situation suddenly changed. The passageway, which had just calmed down, suddenly exploded with a loud bang. Not only Genling Mountain, but the entire starry sky seemed to be trembling. Seeing everything that was happening before them, the two of them were completely stunned. That was because the passageway that was only slightly taller than a person had expanded by several thousand times, or even several tens of thousands of times in the blink of an eye. What kind of concept was that? Before the two of them could react, a black fog surged out of the tunnel. It was like a huge spider web, buzzing non-stop. What was that? Xiling, come with me. Longao could sense how terrifying the unknown black objects that came out of the tunnel were. If they were alone, they wouldn't be a threat at all, but there were too many of them. It was too terrifying. It continued without end. The unknown object must be a starry sky spirit beast. However, this kind of starry sky spirit beast had never been seen before in the vast starry sky. There were too many of them. Just as countless starry sky spirit beasts appeared in the tunnel, three figures descended from the distance. It was none other than Yunlu and the other two. Looking at the countless unknown objects that came out of the tunnel, Yunlu and the other two's expressions changed completely. They looked on in horror because they knew what was going on. Patriarch, we've guarded it for so many years, but we didn't expect that the tunnel would still be opened. If we don't seal it in time, the consequences will be unimaginable. Let's go. Yunlu and the other two didn't hesitate. With a step, the three of them arrived in front of Genling Mountain. They ignored the army of black fog and rushed towards the entrance of the tunnel. Before he even arrived, the three chaos stone tablets had already appeared, forcefully blocking the passage. The objects that came out of the tunnel were blocked by the three chaos stone tablets. None of them left the tunnel. The three of them finally heaved a sigh of relief. Even so, the three of them didn't dare to be careless. They immediately separated and began to destroy the unknown objects that came out of the tunnel. The speed of the three of them was limited. After all, the unknown objects that came out were too fast. With their strength and speed, they could only kill half of them at most. The remaining half had already disappeared without a trace. When the three of them returned, they just saw Longao and Xiling guarding the entrance of the passage. Without asking, The three of them instantly knew who was the culprit behind this matter. Anger. Endless anger. Longao, Xiling, what happened? Seeing Yunlu and the other two, regardless of whether it was Xiling or Longao, they were both very shocked. That was because the two of them did not know why the three of them would suddenly descend. Intuition told the two of them that for the three of them to be able to instantly arrive and block the tunnel entrance, they definitely knew about this matter. Since that was the case, there was no point in continuing to hide it. Longao recounted everything that happened previously in full detail. Yunlu and the other two were naturally able to understand Longao's pain after listening to him. After all, the strength of the divine mathematician was there for all to see. If they could obtain the Spirit Sword Mountain's protective array, then the Soaring Dragon Empire would be able to sit back and relax. Uncle Yun, you know about this? Yunhee snorted and said coldly, how could we not know? We are here to protect this formation. When Xiling came to Jianling Mountain to cultivate, we didn't remove it because we knew that Xiling couldn't break the formation. We didn't expect that you would be able to break it. Ah! Hearing Yunhee's words, the two of them were shocked. Didn't this mean that Yunlu's status and strength were extraordinary? After all, the three of them were star dominators and could set up such a heaven-defying formation. Just thinking about it was terrifying. We didn't do it on purpose. Yunlu stopped Yunhee and said helplessly, perhaps this is fate. More than 10,000 years ago, I had already calculated that this channel would be opened by someone, but I didn't expect it to be Longao. No one is to blame. Fate is fate. Intuition told them that this matter wasn't as simple as it seemed. If it could make the three-star dominators act like this, it was obvious that they had lost the gamble. Uncle Yun, if it's convenient, I would like to ask what is going on. Although Xiling didn't ask, his heart was no different from Longao's. He was very curious. He didn't know what was going on and why the three-star dominators would act like this. Patriarch. Waving his hand, Yunlu smiled helplessly and said, things have already come to this. Since Longao opened the channel, it seems that Longao can't escape from fate. In that case, there's no harm in telling you. Chapter 26:13. Xiling and Longao were also curious as to what was going on. Yunhee and Yun Tian didn't say anything else. Since the Patriarch had already said so, there was no point in saying anything more. There was an age of chaos in the vast universe. I'm sure you've heard of it. Xiling and Longao nodded. Of course, they had heard of the Age of Chaos. In the Age of Chaos, astral dominators were everywhere in the vast universe. They weren't as rare as they are now. Longao and Xiling still didn't speak. At that time, a mysterious passage suddenly appeared in the vast universe. Countless unknown spirit beasts rushed in madly. Their numbers were extremely large and their destructive power was extremely strong. Wherever they went, not even a blade of grass grew. Could it be the unknown object? The two had already guessed what the unknown object Yunlu was talking about was. Its numbers were extremely large and its destructive power was extremely strong. Wherever it went, not even a blade of grass grew. Just this point alone was enough to show how terrifying this unknown object was. Even our astral dominators couldn't destroy this creature. Over time, the vast universe became a dazzling sight. It was too horrible to look at. Yunhee and Yun Tian both sighed. It was as if they had experienced that era. In order to prevent this creature from continuing to destroy the vast universe, countless astral dominators formed the strongest astral combat team and began to destroy this creature. They also did everything they could to seal this passage. There was no doubt that this passage was the one in front of them. It was obvious that they had lost the bet. However, Longao didn't regret it at all. He would do anything for the family. Yunlu could certainly guess what Longao was thinking. He continued helplessly, about 70% of the thousands of astral dominators died when they destroyed this creature. Thousands of astral dominators sounded like a lot, but in the vast universe, it was a pitiful number. Not only that, the two knew very well what it meant to lose 70% of the astral dominators. The attack power of the unknown creature was so strong that it could destroy the astral dominators. It was obvious how terrifying it was. Uncle Yoon, what about the remaining astral dominators? In order to seal this passage, the most powerful formation masters of the time gathered all of the remaining starry sky sovereigns to set up this formation and seal this passage. So that was the case. There had been thousands of astral dominators in the vast universe, but all of them had perished because of unknown creatures and unknown passageways. It was terrifying. Longao and Xiling did not speak for a long time because this secret was too shocking. Longao was certain that even the other rulers of the starry sky might not know this secret. In the entire vast starry sky, there were probably not many people who knew about this. Uncle Yoon, thousands of starry sky rulers have perished. Where did the primal chaos stone tablets go? I don't know. They should be scattered everywhere. Uncle Yoon looked at the passageway in front of him. If it weren't for the 3 chaos stone tablets, the unknown life forms would probably still be rushing out in a frenzy. He sighed deeply. Until now, Yoon Lu was still a little scared. If the 3 of them hadn't appeared in time, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Just the thought of it scared him. No matter how much he thought about it, he would never have thought that the person who broke open the passage was Longao. Yoon Lu was very clear in his heart that the current vast starry sky was a completely different concept from the primal chaos era. They were not on the same level at all. Given the current strength of the starry sky, there was simply no one who could break open the passage. Not even Master God Diviner could. Yoon Lu didn't know how Longao had done it. But since Longao didn't speak of his own initiative, Yoon Lu didn't ask. In any case, the matter had already happened. What was important now was to see how they could salvage the situation, not who was responsible. Longao, I know what you're thinking. If you want to become a ruler of the starry sky, there is only one way, and that is to devour the primal chaos stone tablets. There is no other way. Longao nodded. Of course he knew that the only way to become a ruler of the starry sky was to devour the primal chaos stone tablets. In the primal chaos era, thousands of primal chaos stone tablets suddenly descended from the starry sky. Those who were fated to devour and refine them all became rulers of the starry sky. In the primal chaos era, were there any rulers of the starry sky who could control the power of primal chaos? This was the question Longao was most concerned about. This was because Longao knew very well that merely possessing a primal chaos stone tablet and someone who could control the power of primal chaos were 2 completely different concepts. Yoon Lu shook his head. Our vast starry sky doesn't have the power of primal chaos, so how could anyone control it? But we can't rule out the possibility. It seemed that the situation in the primal chaos era was exactly the same as it was now. The only difference was that the number of rulers of the starry sky in the primal chaos era was far greater than the number of rulers of the starry sky now. The 12 primal chaos stone tablets that had appeared last time had been taken by Master God Diviner, and the 12 that had appeared this time had all fallen into his pocket. It seemed that there were thousands of primal chaos stone tablets in the vast starry sky. It was just that they were scattered everywhere and no one knew about them. As for where these primal chaos stone tablets had come from, no one knew. Uncle Yoon, just what is inside this passage? I don't know, but I can say with certainty that this place isn't just a simple space. It's just that until now, no one has been able to take a single step into the passage. With just the 3 of us, it's almost impossible to completely seal off this passage. Longao had already considered this point, but with the current situation, it was too late for regrets. He could only think of a way to salvage the situation. Uncle Yoon, can't we begin to repair the formation? The formation core is already broken, and it won't be easy to repair it. Our 3 primal chaos stone tablets shouldn't be able to maintain it for much longer, so we have to think of a solution as soon as possible. Otherwise, once the unknown creatures start to swarm out, the consequences of the starry sky will be unimaginable. No one will be able to resist them. Uncle Yoon, what should we do now? In any case, things had already happened, and Longao didn't try to change anything. The current situation was to find a way to seal off the passage and prevent the unknown creatures from continuing to come out. However, Longao knew very well that this was something that had taken thousands of rulers of the starry sky to accomplish. Relying on their own strength was like striking a stone with an egg. It was almost impossible. Longao, I'll say the same thing again. Since you were the one who destroyed the formation, then you are fate. I'm afraid you're the only one who can deal with this, but it's very dangerous. Chapter 26:14. If Yunlu called it dangerous, it was obvious what it meant. But since things had already come to this, Longao would certainly not shirk his responsibility. Dangerous? Longao was never afraid of danger. Uncle Yun, tell me, what should I do in order to completely seal this passage? Yunlu seemed to have something he couldn't say. Yun, he said, Longao, the only way now is for you to enter the passage and find a way to block the passage on the other side. Once you're done, we'll find a way to reseal this place. A two-pronged approach. No, you must be joking. Before Longao could say anything, Xiling refused. Xiling was no fool. He knew what kind of danger this would entail. Countless unknown creatures would emerge from the passage. Even thousands of star rulers couldn't handle them, let alone Longao. It was easy to imagine what would happen inside the passage. If Longao stepped into the passage, there would only be one outcome, never to return. Yun, he sneered. Not to mention the current purple spirit, even if it was the purple spirit at its peak, they would not even think much of it. Longao, you must know that if it weren't for you, the formation wouldn't have been destroyed and the passage wouldn't have been opened. He waved his hand. Yunlu stopped Yunhe from continuing. Longao, I know what it means to enter the passage. You are destiny. You are the only one who can do this. If anyone else goes, not only will it be useless, it will even delay us. Once the passage is reopened, the unknown creatures will sweep through the vast universe. We don't care, but have you thought about your empire? What about those innocent people? Regarding the meaning in Yunlu's words, how could Longao not know? Xiling, leave this to me. Before Xiling could speak, Longao spoke first. Xiling felt helpless. In the end, he didn't say anything. Uncle Yun, I promise you. I'm just a little curious. If I enter the passage, how should I seal the passage on the other side? This was the key point. Otherwise, even if he could successfully step into the passage and reach the other end, he would not be able to seal the passage. If that was the case, there was no difference between stepping in and not stepping in. I see. After listening to Yunlu's explanation of how to seal the passage, Longao and Xiling walked to the other side. Without waiting for Xiling to speak, Longao immediately said, Xiling, go back to the Soaring Dragon Empire first and help me prepare. If I can't seal the passage on the other side and the unknown creatures sweep across the vast starry sky, we have a countermeasure. Of course, Xiling knew how serious the situation was. Even the ruler of stars couldn't destroy this unknown creature. Once it swept through the vast universe, it would be a complete disaster. Longao, are you really not afraid of death? Longao smiled. Afraid of death? Of course I am afraid of death. However, there are some things that cannot be done, and some things that must be done. Xiling knew Longao well. Once he had decided on something, he would not change his mind. There was no way he could stop Longao from stepping into the passage. Longao, leave the Soaring Dragon Empire to me. Nothing will happen to it. Don't worry. Longao smiled once more. With Xiling taking care of the Soaring Dragon Empire, Longao no longer had anything to worry about. No matter what, no one knew what would happen after he stepped into the passage this time around. Not to mention sealing the passage, whether or not he could even make it out alive was an unknown. He had to prepare for the worst. If he was lucky, it might go smoothly. If he was unlucky, who knew what would happen? After sending off Xiling, Longao did not step into the passage immediately. According to Yunlu, their 3 Chaos Stone Steelies could block the passage for thousands of years. If that was the case, he would have more than enough time. Uncle Yun, stepping into the passage this time around is unpredictable. Even if I can seal the passage successfully, I might not make it out alive. Yunlu was helpless and did not say anything. What Longao said was the truth. Even if Longao sealed the passage and was unable to return, they could only seal the passage. After all, no matter what happened, They could not let the unknown creature leave the passage. It was still the same sentence. Once the unknown creature released from the passage swept through the vast starry sky, the consequences would be unimaginable. Longao, if you have something to say, just say it. As long as I can do it, there won't be any problems. Longao had no doubts about Yunlu and the powerful force behind him. Even if Yunlu did not want to fall out with the Master Clairvoyant, he believed that the Master Clairvoyant would not dare to provoke Yunlu. This was without a doubt. Uncle Yun, after I step into the passage, I don't know how long it will take. After I leave, I hope you can help me take care of the soaring dragon empire. In an instant, Yunlu already knew what Longao meant. Not only did Longao have a grudge against the Master Clairvoyant, but he also had a death feud with the 9 great starry sky empires. After Longao left, the soaring dragon empire would be targeted by the Master Clairvoyant and the others. Yunlu did not even think about it before agreeing. Don't worry about this. No matter what happens while you are gone, your empire will be fine. With Yunlu's assurance, Longao could finally breathe a sigh of relief. Longao, when are you going to step into the passage? 1,000 years would pass in the blink of an eye for people like them. Under such circumstances, the longer they delayed, the more disadvantageous it would be for them. The sooner, the better. Longao, of course, knew the seriousness of the matter. He smiled and said, I will step into the passage now. Yunlu seemed like he still wanted to say something, but in the end, he didn't say anything. After watching Longao step into the passage, he sighed deeply and said helplessly, aren't we going a little overboard by doing this? Patriarch, those who achieve great things do not bother about trifles. We have waited for so many years. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If we miss this opportunity, who knows how many more years we will have to wait? Big brother is right, Patriarch. We have waited for too long. If anything unexpected happens, without waiting for Yun Tian to finish speaking, Yunlu had already waved his hand, deeply sighed, and very helplessly said, I know what you mean, what you said is very right, it is impossible to give up a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for a Longao. On one side was his daughter, and on the other side was a huge matter. After thinking it over, Yunlu ultimately chose to give up on his daughter. He also knew that they had waited for so many years for a Longao. If they chose to give up just like that, they would really be a little unwilling. If they missed this opportunity, who knew how long they would have to wait? Chapter 26:15. Xiling successfully returned to the soaring dragon empire. However, she didn't mention a word about the Jianling mountain. Xiling was very clear on what Longao's decision to enter the tunnel meant. It was very likely that he would never return. If others knew about this, it was easy to imagine the consequences. Right now, she could only help Longao take care of his backyard. As for the Empire's safety, Xiling wasn't worried at all. Xiling wasn't an idiot. She was very clear that since Longao chose to enter the tunnel, it was without a doubt that he was considering the Empire's safety. The only way was Yunlu. Yunlu had 3 space rulers. Even the divine mathematician didn't dare to make a move. With Yunlu's promise, things couldn't be any better. As for the Jianling mountain, no one in the vast universe knew about it yet. Inside the tunnel, Longao stepped into the tunnel. He was 120% alert. Step by step, he didn't dare to be careless. Inside the tunnel, there were countless unknown objects sealed. Even if his cultivation had broken through the limit of space immortal realm, he couldn't stop the army of unknown objects. Although Longao didn't want to admit it, the truth was right in front of him. If he were to be swept away by the army of unknown creatures, the result would be obvious. He was very curious. Under normal circumstances, there should be countless unknown objects inside the tunnel. But what happened? Ever since he stepped into the tunnel, not to mention unknown creatures, he didn't even see a strand of hair. What was going on? He couldn't figure it out. Longao's speed was very slow. According to Yunlu, the combined power of the 3 tablets could seal the tunnel for thousands of years. For him, it was more than enough. The tunnel was very long. He couldn't see the end. Longao didn't know what was at the end of the tunnel. However, according to his mission, he had to reach the end of the tunnel and seal it. Then, he would be able to return safely. Under the double seal, the tunnel should be safe. The mission was difficult. It was very dangerous. It could even be said that he had a 90% chance of dying. After walking for about 10 minutes, which was a few hundred steps, Longao found that there wasn't any danger in the tunnel. It seemed like his worries were unnecessary. Gradually, Longao began to speed up his pace, but he was still careful. He didn't stop being careful just because he was temporarily safe. What a long tunnel. The more he walked, the more surprised he became. Longao had never imagined that the passage would be so long. He sped up again, even using the speed of time teleportation. Longao himself was a peak starry sky immortal, and with time teleportation, one could imagine how terrifying his speed was. Even so, after walking for an hour, they still hadn't reached the end of the passage. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't surprised. Just relying on Longao's speed, he walked for more than 2 hours before he finally reached the end of the passageway with great difficulty. If he wanted to seal the passage, he would first have to seal the outside of the passage. Then, he would have to take advantage of the gap to enter the passage. Then, he would have to reseal the passage inside and reinforce the seal. Only in this way would he be absolutely safe. He took a deep breath. Longao didn't know what was beyond the tunnel, but a place with an army of unknown creatures couldn't be a simple place. However, since things had already happened, he would have to go out sooner or later. Longao wasn't a wishy-washy person. He wanted to end things quickly and save himself some trouble. He took a step forward. In the blink of an eye, Longao's figure had already left the passage and arrived outside. It was dusky. The moment Longao stepped out, he felt a wave of dizziness, as if he was in purgatory. It was truly disgusting. What was this place? The flow of air between heaven and earth was completely different from the vast starry sky outside. Not only could it erode his bloodline and primordial spirit, it even had an indescribable nausea. This nausea wasn't just nausea. He didn't dare hesitate. Although he was very curious about this place, Longao didn't take the risk to continue moving forward. Who knew what was in front of him? His most important task now was to seal the passage as fast as possible and leave this place. Just as Longao was about to seal the passage, the situation suddenly changed. A black mass quickly came from the left and right. It was none other than the unknown creatures that had swept through the vast starry sky. Longao was very wary of these unknown creatures. If it was one-on-one, he wouldn't have the slightest fear. However, the number of unknown creatures was too terrifying. Even if he had 3 heads and 6 arms, it would be difficult to resist the invasion of the army of unknown creatures. If he braced himself and continued to seal the passage, not to mention sealing the passage, it would be a problem whether he could leave this place alive. Even if he was extremely unwilling in his heart, Longao could only give up on sealing the passage. Under the time teleportation, his entire person scurried out. However, Longao discovered that after entering this space, his time teleportation was intercepted. In other words, the speed of his time teleportation was abruptly reduced by more than half. What kind of concept was this? Even so, Longao didn't dare to be careless and rushed forward as fast as he could. No matter what happened, he couldn't be swept away by the army of unknown creatures. Otherwise, he wouldn't even know how he died. The army of unknown creatures, not to mention their strength, possessed a terrifying power that could erode one's bloodline and primordial spirit. If there were only 1 or 2 of them, it would be fine, but if there were countless of them at the same time, layer upon layer of erosion, not to mention him, even the starry sky ruler wouldn't be able to resist. Longao had already fused with the chaotic 9-colored lotus and reached a state of endless circulation, thus achieving true immortality. Even so, Longao still didn't dare to fight head-on because he didn't know what would happen if he was surrounded by the army of unknown creatures. This was a risk he couldn't take. Longao tried to release his primordial spirit to cover the entire space to see how big this space was. He didn't know if he didn't cover it, but when he did, he was shocked because this space was boundless. With his strength, His primordial spirit couldn't cover the entire space. He was very surprised. It seemed that this place wasn't simple at all. However, it made sense after thinking about it. Being able to release an army of unknown creatures and destroy thousands of starry sky rulers in the vast starry sky was an incredible thing in itself. If Yun Lu hadn't said it himself, he wouldn't have believed it even if he was beaten to death. Longao's speed soared to the extreme, but the speed of the army of unknown creatures wasn't a secret. Chapter 26:16. If he was at his peak, Longao was confident that he could escape the pursuit of the army of unknown lifeforms. But now, the situation was completely different. The current time teleportation could only reach half of its original speed. What kind of concept was this? Longao knew very well that if he continued at this speed, he would be caught up by the army of unknown lifeforms in less than 10 minutes at most and be directly overwhelmed. What should he do? He continued to increase his speed. But time teleportation was already at its limit. No matter how fast he increased his speed, it was useless. 10 minutes later, Longao's speed had already reached its limit, but it was still useless. The final result. Longao was instantly covered by the army of unknown lifeforms. If it were anyone else, they would definitely die. Except for Longao. Again, Longao had already merged with the chaotic nine-colored lotus and achieved an endless cycle. In other words, the current Longao himself was immortal. Using his finger as a sword, the sword chi merged to control the starry sky and began to slash around him. With Longao as the center, black starry sky cracks began to appear and gradually formed a starry sky crack air shield around Longao, protecting him. Even so, Longao did not relax in the slightest. The army of unknown lifeforms around him, even with the starry sky crack air shield, continued to attack from afar. Moths to a flame. The army of unknown lifeforms around him knew that if they attacked forcefully, they would be courting death. But they still refused to give up. The number of unknown lifeforms was too large. At a glance, it was a black mass. Longao's face was very solemn and as ugly as it could be. Although the starry sky crack air shield around him was protecting him, at this rate, the unknown lifeforms would break through the shield sooner or later. At that time, he would still die. What should he do? For a moment, Longao did not have a good way to defend against the attack of the army of unknown lifeforms. Using his finger as a sword, Longao did not dare to be careless at all. Both hands continuously slashed out sword fingers. As the starry sky cracks around him slowly passed, Longao began to be unable to resist. Half an hour at most. In other words, if Longao could not think of a way to escape within an hour, he would definitely be surrounded by the army of unknown lifeforms. At that time, he would be doomed eternally. Longao's expression became more and more serious. At this moment, in a moment of desperation, the Chaos Axe suddenly appeared in Longao's hand. The Chaos Axe was many times more powerful than the finger sword. However, for the current situation, there was no difference between the two. It was just a matter of time. If he were to use the Chaos Axe, he would probably die even faster. Nine-colored Chaos Lotus. Just as Longao did not know what to do, the nine-colored lotus flower on the primal Chaos Axe suddenly floated out and stopped in front of Longao. What did that mean? The chaotic nine-colored lotus turned into 9 petals, surrounding Longao in different directions, and began to spin. The spinning speed became faster and faster, slowly forming a tornado. Longao was pleasantly surprised because he was pleasantly surprised to find that he could control this tornado to move forward. In this way, the army of unknown lifeforms around him would not be able to get close to him at all. Not daring to hesitate in the slightest, Longao immediately moved forward. In just a few seconds, the tornado around him disappeared without a trace. Fortunately, Longao had already escaped the encirclement of the army of unknown lifeforms. Once again, he sped up at his fastest speed. This time, Longao directly used all his strength to increase his speed to the extreme. Behind him, on his left and right, there was an army of unknown lifeforms. Only in front of him were there no unknown lifeforms. Longao was very curious. Why was there not a single unknown life form in front of him? Intuition told Longao that this matter was definitely not that simple. However, things had already turned out this way. It was almost impossible to retreat to the left and right. There was only one way to go, and that was to continue moving forward and hope that he could leave smoothly and completely escape the attack of the army of unknown life forms. After running wildly for more than 10 minutes, suddenly, the army of unknown life forms behind him, including the left and right, suddenly disappeared without a trace. Ah! What's going on? Looking at the empty surroundings, Longao was completely dumbfounded. He had no idea what had happened. Why did the army of unknown life forms around him suddenly disappear without a trace? Not a single one of them was left behind. The disappearance was a little too sudden. It was so sudden that it made him feel a little unwilling. Longao looked around vigilantly and released his spirit. Except for the front, he could clearly sense the presence of unknown life forms in other places. Whether it was the back, the left, or the right, he could clearly sense the presence of unknown life forms. The more this was so, the more afraid Longao was. In this situation, he definitely could not retreat, nor could he go to the left or the right. The only way forward was in front. Even if he was unwilling to do so, he could only brace himself and move forward. Even if he knew that there was a tiger in the mountain, he would still continue forward. Longao took one step after another. His speed was neither too fast nor too slow. After a few minutes, the black mist around him grew thicker. The moment it entered his body, it would begin to corrode Longao's blood and spirit. Even with his strength, Longao had to defend against it with all his might. Otherwise, if he were to be corroded for too long, the consequences would be unimaginable. Even so, Longao continued moving forward. If he were to turn back now, even if he could reach the entrance of the tunnel, he would not be able to seal it. In the end, it would be a wasted trip. That would be a waste of time. The most important thing now was to think of a way to deal with the unknown life forms. Only then could he proceed with the seal smoothly. Otherwise, everything would be for naught. Step by step, Longao was extremely careful. He did not dare to let his guard down. Huff huff, huff huff huff, huff 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 huff. Just as Longao was about to make his move, he suddenly heard a loud noise coming from all around him. The further he walked, the louder it got. Could it be a dragon? Longao was almost certain that there were other life forms in this mysterious space other than the unknown life forms. But as for what they were, he did not know. After a few thousand steps, Longao finally caught sight of the appearance of the mysterious life form. It had the body of a huge mountain. The two eyes on its head were like two small mountains. The noise it made was similar to that of thunder. It was not a dragon. Longao had never seen such a life form before. But needless to say, it was strong. Longao could clearly sense that this powerful life form was a half-step star dominator. Chapter 26:17. Longao knew very well what it meant to be a half-step universe dominator. Although his cultivation base had successfully broken through to the peak universe immortal realm, it was still a bit lacking compared to a half-step universe dominator. He took a detour. He must not wake up this half-step universe dominator divine beast in front of him. Despicable human, do you think you can leave here alive? While Longao was thinking of a way to sneak past, the situation suddenly changed. The starry sky divine beast, who was sleeping soundly just now, suddenly woke up. Its two mountain-like huge eyes stared coldly at Longao. A chill went straight to his mind. Not to mention the strength of the space divine beast, just the strength of the primordial spirit was comparable to his own. What did this mean? Although the space divine beast couldn't use the primordial spirit to suppress him, this in itself showed how powerful this space divine beast was. He was definitely not a match for the other party. How should I address you? The space divine beast was very curious and said in surprise, "You can resist the suppression of my primordial spirit. It seems you're not simple." Longao just smiled and didn't say anything. "Human, I'm very curious. How did you enter the astral prison?" "Astral prison? Where is this place?" The space divine beast saw the human's expression and instantly knew that the other party didn't know about this place. The more this was the case, the more curious he was. Because even if it was by chance, the other party couldn't have entered here. Tell me, how did you enter the astral prison? Longao couldn't tell the truth, so he said helplessly, I don't know. I accidentally entered a valley. I don't know what happened, but I seem to have triggered something and was directly teleported here. An army of unknown creatures attacked me just now. There was no doubt. In the space divine beast's view, Longao's words were reasonable. Human, I can spare your life as long as you promise me one thing. How about it? Tell me. Longao of course didn't agree immediately. In his opinion, who knew what the space divine beast would ask for? The space divine beast didn't care at all and said, I've been sealed in the astral prison for countless years. My only hope is to leave here. You should understand what I mean. It would be strange if he didn't understand. To be able to seal a half-step starry sky ruler divine beast, it was obvious what kind of existence this astral prison was. Would Longao agree? He was very curious because Longao still didn't know who sealed the starry sky mythical beast. If he released the starry sky mythological beast and caused trouble again, then the losses would outweigh the gains. What should he do? I would like to ask, what is the astral prison? From the beginning to the end, the starry sky divine beast did not take Longao seriously at all. My true form is Shen. What? What kind of divine beast was this? Longao had never heard of such a space god beast, but if this was the Chaos Era, many people would be shocked to hear this name. They might even have nightmares. Bayan didn't care at all and said coldly, in the Chaos Era, someone accidentally opened this place and found that this place is different from other places in the vast starry sky. Once you enter, you will be eroded by evil currents. If you don't die, you will be controlled and become an evil puppet. Longao didn't say anything and just listened quietly. Intuition told him that Yunlu might not be telling the truth. As for whether Bayan was telling the truth or not, Longao didn't doubt it because he knew very well that he was nothing in Bayan's eyes. There was no need for Bayan to deceive him. At that time, the starry sky rulers controlled the vast starry sky. They jointly controlled this place and named it the astral prison. My God. So that's how it was. It seemed that Yunlu wasn't telling the truth. This place was chosen by the starry sky rulers. Then the secret of the starry sky ruler's death was not what Yunlu had said. He felt like he had been duped. What did Yunlu mean? He couldn't figure it out. Bayan didn't care about the expression on Longao's face and continued, all the rulers of the starry sky through some powerful existences that they couldn't control, such as half-step rulers of the starry sky like me, directly into the starry sky prison. Bayan, there's one thing I don't understand. According to a starry sky ruler, thousands of starry sky rulers died in order to seal this place in the chaotic era. Speaking up to here, Longao did not continue speaking, but the meaning of his words was already very clear. Regardless of whether Yunlu was telling the truth or not, there was one thing that couldn't be denied. The thousands of starry sky rulers of the vast starry sky had indeed all died. Longao absolutely chose to believe this. Bayan snorted coldly. Bayan's face was full of mockery as he sneered contemptuously, those who are unjust are doomed to destruction. At that time, they only thought of this place as a cage. They didn't expect that this space itself was a junction of the starry sky. Another vast starry sky had opened up this passage and an army of unknown creatures had emerged. Huh! Hearing Bayan's words, Longao was completely dumbfounded. He knew very well what another vast starry sky meant. Everyone knew that there was only one vast starry sky. Why did Bayan speak of another vast starry sky at this time? What was going on? Longao was completely shocked. If this matter were to spread, it would shake the entire vast starry sky. It seemed that Bayan was an existence of the vast starry sky. As for the army of unknown creatures, they came from another vast starry sky. Unbelievable, simply unbelievable. Bayan, since the army of unknown creatures from another vast starry sky can attack others in the vast starry sky, why didn't they attack you? Behind them, on the left and right sides, Only the front was where the unknown creature army did not dare to come. This was something that Longao was very curious about. He did not know what was going on. Bayan laughed at himself and said helplessly, "Do you really think they are afraid of me? Was it not?" However, looking at the expression on Bayan's face, for some reason, a bad premonition arose spontaneously. It seemed that the army of unknown creatures didn't dare to approach because of Bayan's strength, but because of something else. What was the reason? Everyone, including me, is occupying a certain place. That's why the army of unknown creatures doesn't dare to approach. Otherwise, even with our strength, we wouldn't be able to resist the invasion of the army of unknown creatures. I believe you have seen the power of the army of unknown creatures. Chapter 26:18. He nodded. Longao had personally experienced the strength of the army of unknown creatures. If it were not for the protection of the Space Fisher and the Chaos 9-colored Lotus, he would most likely have fallen by now. How could he still be standing here? According to Bayan, there should be other people or divine beasts in the space prison besides him. They each occupied a place that the unknown creatures did not dare to approach. Since then, although these people and divine beasts were temporarily saved, they could only stay here forever, which was no different from being sealed. Life was worse than death. He sighed deeply in his heart. However, Longao did not have much sympathy or other feelings in his heart. The winner is the king, the loser is the bandit. In the vast starry sky, the strong are respected. No matter where one goes, this was the hard truth, the cruel reality that could not be changed. The ruler of the starry sky was the most powerful existence in the vast starry sky. Not to mention ordinary starry sky cultivators, even a half-step ruler of the starry sky was an ant-like existence in the eyes of the ruler of the starry sky. Everyone below the ruler of the starry sky was an ant. Longao still did not understand how the thousands of rulers of the starry sky of the chaotic era fell. Bayan seemed to be able to read Longao's mind. "Human, do you not understand how the thousands of rulers of the starry sky fell?" He nodded. Longao did not hide his thoughts in the slightest. Although he did not know why Bayan told him this, he was very willing to help Bayan as long as it was mutually beneficial. In any case, what Yunlu told him was not true, and there was no need for him to stick to his previous thoughts. The two seemed to have thought of the same thing. Each with their own ulterior motives. Each with their own needs. In fact, it was the same principle. At first, they only thought of this place as a prison. They never thought that it was connected to another vast starry sky, and that unknown creatures would constantly emerge. Seemingly very happy, Bayan continued, these unknown creatures could not only kill other people, but could even kill the rulers of the starry sky, so they were afraid. Longao had already thought of this point. You should have already guessed what happened later. Thousands of rulers of the starry sky, along the way, killed the unknown creatures that had already entered the vast starry sky. Some of them took the risk to enter here, and thus forcibly sealed the passage to another vast starry sky. However, there were still countless armies of unknown creatures left here. Everything was clear. He reaped what he sowed. Although Longao despised these starry sky rulers, the vast starry sky was innocent. The thousands of starry sky rulers had not crossed their bottom line. Otherwise, the vast starry sky would have been destroyed if they had ignored this matter. Bayan, in that case, I won't hide it from you. Since things had already come to this, Longao did not intend to continue hiding it. He revealed the purpose of his entry this time. He was not surprised at all. I've already guessed it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to enter so casually. However, Longao, I can tell you clearly that since you've entered, it's impossible for you to reseal the passage, let alone leave this place. How could Longao not know about this? That was also what gave him the greatest headache. Although he still did not know why Yunlu was deceiving him, regardless of what happened, he still had to seal the passageway. Once the passageway was breached and the army of unknown lifeforms swarmed out, the consequences would be unimaginable. Just the thought of it was terrifying. Whether it was for the vast starry sky or for his family, he had to seal the passageway. He could not allow the army of unknown life forms to leave the Starry Sky prison. Let's join forces and leave this place together. Sure. Longao agreed without the slightest hesitation because regardless of whether Bayan was good or bad, he had been sealed for so many years. What was the point of doing this? However, Longao said, you and I can join forces, but you have to promise me that we will seal the passageway. Before Bayan could speak, Longao continued, Bayan, I know you don't care about the lives of others in the vast starry sky, but I do. Once the army of unknown life forms swarms out and sweeps across the vast starry sky, you can imagine the consequences. If you don't agree, I'd rather stay here alone. Bayan's face instantly turned cold. He wasn't a fool. Leaving and leaving after being sealed were two completely different concepts. Leaving could be said to be a 9 out of 10 chance of survival, but leaving after being sealed would most likely lead to certain death. However, did he have a choice? If Bayan had a way to leave, he wouldn't have waited until now. The anger in his heart turned into billowing murderous intent. He forcefully swallowed it back down. Okay, I promise you. However, Longao, with our strength alone, it is impossible to fight against the army of unknown life forms. Only by joining forces with all the experts in the Starry Sky prison might we be able to seal the passageway and leave. Longao also thought of this. After all, his and Bayan's strength was limited. They could not fight against the entire army of unknown life forms alone. I want to ask, how many people and divine beasts are there in the Starry Sky prison? This was the most crucial point because the more people there were, the more advantageous it would be for him to seal the passageway. This was without a Starry Sky ruler. If there were more than 10 Starry Sky rulers, they could choose to ignore the army of unknown life forms in the Starry Sky prison and seal the passageway by force. In any case, the passageway to the vast Starry Sky had been sealed. There was no need to worry about the army of unknown life forms pouring in from the other Starry Sky. There was definitely no Starry Sky ruler left. Almost 99% of the Starry Sky rulers had fallen. Even Yunlu, master godly mathematician, and the others would not casually step into this place. Even Starry Sky rulers were not immortal. If they were surrounded and overwhelmed by the army of unknown life forms, only death would await them. At that time, the Chaos Tablet would leave and choose a new candidate. Not to mention Starry Sky rulers, no one would be willing to take this risk. Taking 10,000 steps back. Even if the army of unknown life forms poured into the vast Starry Sky, master godly mathematician, Yunlu, and the others, as Starry Sky rulers, could protect themselves. As for the life and death of the vast Starry Sky, they did not care at all. Longao could almost say that since Yunlu knew about this, why didn't he personally take action? After all, the strength of the 3 Starry Sky rulers was not to be underestimated. In the end, Yunlu did not do so because the 3 of them were afraid of the army of unknown life forms. He did not despise them. After all, if it were him, he would have done the same. Chapter 26:19. I don't know the details. Fengwu thought for a while and continued, according to my estimation, there should be no less than tens of thousands of Starry Sky cultivators and Starry Sky mythological beasts, or even more. Longao was very surprised. Because Longao never thought that there would be so many Starry Sky cultivators and Starry Sky mythological beasts in the Starry Sky prison. There was almost no need to guess. Longao could even be sure that the Starry Sky cultivators and Starry Sky mythological beasts sealed here were probably not weak. Should he be happy or sad? Longao himself did not know what he was thinking in his heart. But it had already happened, and there was nothing he could do. But this should not be a bad thing for him, because the more people there were, the better it would be for him to seal the passage and leave this place. There was no doubt about that. All of a sudden, Fengwu laughed. Longao did not speak and just looked at Fengwu in front of him, because he did not know what Fengwu meant by laughing like that. Longao, I advise you not to have too high of an expectation. Why? Some people would rather be sealed and wait for a surefire chance than take the risk. In an instant, Longao had already understood the meaning behind Bayan's words. In the end, it meant that everyone was afraid of death. However, after thinking about it, he felt relieved. After being sealed for so long, he believed that everyone knew the strength of the unknown lifeform army. Once they forced their way out and sealed the passage, they would most likely die. Without full confidence, who knows how many people would be willing to take the risk? I still want to give it a try. Longao, although this space is very big, there are unknown creatures everywhere. If you want to do the work one by one, I advise you to forget about it. There were unknown creatures everywhere. Just the thought of it was terrifying. No matter where he went, he would be besieged by the army of unknown creatures. If he was not careful, he would fall into eternal damnation. Longao's face was very solemn. No matter what, he only had a little more than 1,000 years. Once he missed this time, the passage would be opened again. At that time, countless unknown creatures would continue to pour into the vast starry sky. Although it was difficult for the unknown creatures in this space to destroy the vast universe, it was still a disaster for the vast universe. Longao didn't say anything. Ma and I also did not continue to speak. Time seemed to have frozen. Everything around them was pitch black. Both of them knew that at this moment, there must be countless unknown creatures staring at them. In the vast starry skies. Yunlu and the other two did not dare to take even half a step away. Although the 3 Chaos Stone tablets had joined forces to seal the passageway, it was still very unstable. The 3 of them had to be on guard at all times. They couldn't let their guard down. If an army of unknown lifeforms were to emerge from the tunnel, the consequences would be unimaginable. You've informed him? Patriarch, we've already notified Master God Diviner. If everything goes according to plan, he should be here by now. That was it. As soon as the words left his mouth, Master God Diviner appeared, a very serious expression on his face. After all, Master God Diviner had already explained the situation to him. Never in his wildest dreams could Master God Diviner have guessed that such a secret existed in the Primal Chaos era. Master Clairvoyant knew better than anyone what it meant to lose thousands of rulers of stars. Yunlu, what's going on? You already know the gist of the matter. I'll keep it short. Longao unintentionally opened the passageway and released an army of unknown lifeforms. We've already eliminated 80% of them. The rest shouldn't be able to play any tricks. I've already informed the 9 great starry sky empires and the other peak races. They will eliminate the remaining unknown lifeforms. Yunlu seemed very satisfied. Very good. Longao has already entered the passageway. He's sealing it inside, and we'll seal it here. With the double seal, we should be able to isolate them. Master God Diviner was very surprised. It was Longao again. He didn't know why everything was related to Longao. From now on, inform everyone that before Longao returns, no one is allowed to attack the Soaring Dragon Empire. Otherwise, Yunlu didn't continue, but the meaning of his words was very clear. With the strength of Yunlu and the others, plus the power behind them, no one in the vast starry sky could contend with Yunlu. If it were someone else, Master God Diviner might not compromise. However, the army of unknown lifeforms was related to the survival of the vast starry sky. He didn't want the vast starry sky to fall into eternal damnation, so he reluctantly agreed. I know what to do. Master God Diviner felt some lingering fear when he thought of the unknown lifeforms that could destroy the rulers of stars. Yunlu, tell me the truth. If Longao fails, what kind of result will it be? Yunhe and Yun Tian looked at each other and saw deep helplessness in each other's eyes. Master God Diviner had a bad premonition when he saw the expressions on their faces. Master God Diviner, things have already come to this point. I'll be honest with you. If Longao fails to seal the passageway, then after 1,000 years, the passageway will be opened again. At that time, countless unknown lifeforms will swarm out and sweep across the vast starry sky. When that time comes, let alone ordinary people, even you and I can't be alone. Fuck. Master God Diviner cursed in his heart because he already knew what Yunlu meant. It was very simple. Once the passageway opened and the army of unknown lifeforms rushed out, the vast starry sky would be destroyed. Even the rulers of stars would be powerless to reverse the situation. Master God Diviner didn't want to see such an outcome. Why only let Longao enter the passageway? We can let more people in. Shaking his head, Yunlu sighed and said helplessly, Master God Diviner, I know what you mean. But since Longao opened the passageway, then Longao is this time's fate. If he can't seal the passageway, then I'm afraid no one can. Both Yunlu and Master God Diviner had devoured chaos tablets. Master God Diviner couldn't figure out why Yunlu's divination skills were far superior to his own. He really couldn't figure out why this was the case, and he didn't know why. Yunlu, I want to ask if you've already mastered the power of chaos. Yunlu smiled. Yunhe and Yun Tian also smiled. It didn't matter if the three of them didn't smile, but when they did, Master God Diviner felt even more uncertain. His intuition told him that his guess was likely to be true. If that was the case, then things would be very troublesome. Chapter 26:20. Master Clairvoyant, since you've asked, I'll tell you the truth. Although I haven't truly grasped the power of chaos, I've already begun to touch it. Begun to touch it. Master Clairvoyant knew exactly what Lu Yun meant by beginning to touch it. Although he didn't show it on his face, his heart was filled with helplessness. If Yunlu had truly grasped the power of chaos, he would be worlds apart from Yunlu. How did you do it? Master Clairvoyant, do you think I'll tell you? In the past, Master Clairvoyant would have shed all pretense of cordiality with Yunlu. But now, the situation was completely different. Not only had Yunlu informed Master Clairvoyant, but he'd also informed the other rulers of the stars. Although the Blood Demon and the others hadn't refined the Chaos Tablets and become rulers of the stars, they still had the tablets in their bodies. They weren't existences that others could compare to. Without a doubt. When everyone found out about this, their faces turned ugly. The army of unknown creatures was too frightening. If they hadn't sealed it earlier and heard about it, who knew what would have happened in the future? Soaring Dragon Empire. Xiling began to quietly make arrangements. Jianling Mountain was no longer possible, so it would be difficult to rely on this plane alone to resist the invasion of the army. Others couldn't lock onto this plane, but that didn't mean the army couldn't either. Sister, what's wrong with Brother Long? Of course, others wouldn't suspect Xiling, but Bai Ling had known Xiling for so long. How could she not know what her sister was thinking? Could something have happened to Brother Long? Xiling knew he couldn't hide anything from his sister. In the end, he could only give her a rough account of what had happened at Jianling Mountain. Only, it didn't sound as dangerous as it seemed. Bai Ling was very worried. But this time, Bai Ling was very calm. She knew that if even her sister couldn't do anything about it, then it must be very serious. Sister, can Brother Long come back? Sister, you've known Longao for so long. It's not like you don't know what his fate is like. She nodded. Bai Ling knew Longao very well. Brother Long's fate was 1 in 10,000. Even so, Bai Ling was still worried. This time, Brother Long wasn't going to face Celestial Dominator, but an army of unknown creatures. Sister, what can we do now? Xiling sighed deeply, but he said, what we need to do now is find a way to protect the Empire. If we can't seal the passage, the army of unknown creatures will sweep through the universe. We can't let anything happen to anyone in the Empire. Both Xiling and Bai Ling knew that the Empire was Longao's bottom line. No matter what happened, he would not let anything happen to the Empire. It was easy to say, but it was extremely difficult to do. This was because the area covered by the unknown lifeform army was simply too large. When the time came, not to mention the Empire, even the entire cosmos would be affected. What should he do? Xiling and Bai Ling's faces looked terrible. Sister, you should know what it means if others know about this. We can't cause trouble for Longao, so we can't let anyone know about this. Especially his parents, grandfather, and Yu Yin. Do you understand? Bai Ling, of course, knew what her sister meant. She nodded and said helplessly, I understand. Xiling and Bai Ling worked together very well. It was impossible to tell what was going on between them. Others couldn't tell, but that didn't mean Yu Yin couldn't. Yu Yin was very meticulous, especially when it came to Bai Ling. There were fake mountains all around, and hundreds of flowers bloomed. It was very elegant and beautiful. Sister Yu Yin, you're looking for me? Bai Ling was very curious. She didn't know why Yu Yin had suddenly come looking for her. This was because ever since they had devoured the Primal Chaos Tablet, everyone had been busy cultivating and refining the Primal Chaos Tablet. Why would they waste time for no reason? Could it be that Sister Yu Yin saw something? That didn't seem right. She and her sister had hidden it very well. It was very difficult for others to find out. Sister Bai Ling, you should know about the matter between me and Longao. She nodded. Bai Ling didn't say anything. She didn't know what Yu Yin meant. Why would she suddenly say this? Yu Yin just smiled. Her smile was very strange. The more it was like this, the more uncertain Bai Ling felt. Sister Yu Yin, what happened? If there's anything you want to say, just say it. If it's something your sister can do, I'll do my best. That year, when Longao and I were still in Kaihua town, he was looked down upon by everyone. For 10 whole years, Longao didn't give up at all. I accompanied him every moment. Bai Ling didn't say anything else. She didn't know what Yu Yin meant. As for what Yu Yin was saying, it wasn't just her. Everyone in the empire knew. Everyone knew that Longao was just a piece of trash in Kaihua town. Everyone looked down on him. Even so, for 10 years, Longao was like a day. Not only was he not dispirited, but he was even more hardworking. In these 10 years, even Longao's family had chosen to give up on him. But there was one person who didn't choose to give up. She even gave up her appearance. She wanted to accompany Longao at all times. This person was none other than Yu Yin. To a woman, her appearance was tens of thousands of times more important than her life. But even so, Yu Yin still chose to give up her appearance. Just thinking about it meant something. The relationship between Longao and Yu Yin was incomparable. Bai Ling even envied them sometimes. For so many years, every time he went out, I was scared witless. Although I know that Big Brother Long's fate isn't to fall casually, there are always accidents. You know that I'm very worried about him. Sister Yu Yin, it's not just you. I'm also very worried about Big Brother Long's safety. Sister Bai Ling, I know that you and your sister don't want to tell us. But I can sense that something happened to Big Brother Long this time. Looking at Yu Yin in front of her, Bai Ling felt very helpless. Should she tell Sister Yu Yin? Because her sister had told her before that no matter what happened, she absolutely couldn't tell anyone about what happened in Jianling Mountain. Especially Yu Yin and the others. If something happened to Yu Yin and the others, they wouldn't be able to explain it to Longao when he returned. Sister Bai Ling, don't tell me you still don't want to tell me. Without waiting for Bai Ling to speak, Yu Yin continued, if you don't want to tell me, I won't force you. I'll go find Big Brother Long myself. Chapter 26-21. Sister Yu Yin, don't. Hearing that Yu Yin was leaving the Soaring Dragon Realm, Bai Ling was completely anxious. According to her sister, before Brother Long entered the passage, he had entrusted the Empire to her. If something happened to someone in the Empire, how would she explain it to Brother Long? Especially Sister Yu Yin. Bai Ling knew very well that Sister Yu Yin was Brother Long's most beloved person. Nothing must happen to her. Sister Bai Ling, speak. Yu Yin could clearly sense that Bai Ling was hiding something from her. Could it be Longao? It was precisely because of this that Yu Yin was like this. She was very worried about Longao's safety. Sister Yu Yin, you have to promise me that other than you, you must not tell anyone else about this, especially mother and grandfather. She nodded. The more Bai Ling was like this, the more uncertain Yu Yin was. It seemed that her guess was correct. Since things had already come to this, Bai Ling did not continue to hide it and told her the general situation. Yu Yin's face became more and more gloomy. In the end, her face was gloomy to the extreme. Jianling Mountain. Yu Yin was not a fool. She could clearly understand the danger in Bai Ling's words. Sister Yu Yin, Brother Long stepped into the passage. According to Sister, Brother Long is fated to be like this. It's not something we can stop. I have to go to Jianling Mountain. Yu Yin knew that Longao would not do this if it was not a particularly dangerous thing. No matter what, nothing must happen to Longao. Bai Ling had already guessed that Sister Yu Yin would be like this because she was the same before. However, for the sake of the overall situation, she must not let anything happen to Yu Yin. Otherwise, once Brother Long returned safely, she would not be able to explain to him. Sister Yu Yin, listen to me first. Yu Yin and Bai Ling chatted for an entire day. In the end, Yu Yin chose to give up on leaving the Soaring Dragon Empire and headed towards the Jianling Mountain. If you care, you will be in a mess. Whether it was Bai Ling or Yu Yin, both of them could sacrifice themselves for Longao, but both of them knew that they had to consider the big picture. Only Xiling, Bai Ling, and Yu Yin knew about this matter. Other than them, no one else knew about it. As Longao entered the passage, the 9 great Starry Sky empires, including the Pinnacle Slaughterer clan and the Pinnacle Dragon clan, chose to give up on locking onto the position of the Soaring Dragon Empire. Provoking the Soaring Dragon Empire now was undoubtedly courting death. Even the godly mathematician did not dare to casually provoke Yunlu, let alone other people. In the vast starry sky, no one knew about the Jianling Mountain. In the vast starry sky, the winds and clouds changed. Several of the most powerful forces joined forces to hunt down the army of unknown creatures. After several years of hard work, the remaining unknown creatures were all eliminated. Not even a single one was left behind. In the starry sky prison, Longao and Dao Wu did not continue to speak. Both of them did not know what to do. Dao Wu did not have much hope in his heart. No matter what, if the passage to the Starry Sky prison could be casually sealed, they would not have been sealed for so long. Dao Wu, I need your help. Don't even think about it. Without waiting for Longao to finish, Dao Wu directly refused. What kind of joke was this? Dao Wu was not a fool. This help was not simple. If he was careless, he would lose his life. Although he was sealed here, he still had a chance. If he died, there would be no chance at all. Regarding the thoughts in Swanni's heart, how could Longao not know? Dao Wu, I believe you know how powerful the army of unknown creatures is. Although the other vast starry sky has been sealed by many starry sky rulers, no one knows how long the seal will last. Dao Wu did not speak, but he already understood the meaning of Longao's words. Back then, many starry sky rulers joined forces to seal the passage to the other vast starry sky. Until now, no one knew how long the seal would last. If they were unlucky, once the seal of the passage to the vast starry sky was forcibly broken, the consequences would be unimaginable. Not a single person would be left alive. I don't need to say it. You should understand that once the seal is broken, countless unknown creatures will madly rush in. Even if this place is a forbidden area, I believe it will not be able to stop them. What do you think? Dao Wu's face was very gloomy. It was as ugly as it could be. Longao, you don't have to be like this. Back then, many starry sky rulers joined forces to seal the passage. I know better than you how powerful it is. As long as there are no special accidents, they will not be able to break the seal. Not falling for it. Longao did not continue to persuade him, because this kind of thing had to be consensual. If the other party was not willing, no matter how much he said, it would be useless. In that case, I will take my leave. I won't see you out. Longao bypassed Dao Wu and continued to move forward. Longao's speed was not very slow, but not very fast either. In a short while, Longao's figure had disappeared without a trace. Dao Wu looked at the endless black fog in front of him and sighed deeply. After being sealed for so long, it would be a lie to say that he did not want to leave. However, it was impossible to do so by relying on his own strength. If he could gather the strength of everyone in the Starry Sky prison, there might be a 30% chance. But if it was only for a 30% chance, most people would not be willing to try. If there was even the slightest mistake, the consequences would be unimaginable. It was precisely because everyone was very afraid that many people chose to avoid it. If this continued, who knew how long it would take for them to leave? It was very depressing. I hope you can bring me a pleasant surprise. It was still the same sentence. Bayan didn't place all his hopes on Longao, because a mere limit starry sky immortal wanted to seal the passage. It was almost impossible. If he chose to believe Longao, then he would be a fool. Not to mention himself, perhaps no one in the starry sky prison would choose to believe Longao. Longao had already figured out the rules of the starry sky prison. There were many forbidden areas that even the unknown creatures did not dare to casually step into. However, this did not mean that if the seal of another passage in the vast starry sky was broken, then countless unknown creatures would pour in. At that time, even the forbidden areas would have no way to deal with it. After leaving Dao Wu's place, just as Longao was about to speed up, the situation suddenly changed. Countless unknown creatures poured in from all directions and began to attack Longao madly. The attack this time was many times stronger than before. Although Longao knew that he would be attacked by the unknown creatures, he was still caught unprepared. Chapter 26-22. He didn't dare to be careless. In this kind of battle, the slightest carelessness could lead to him being consigned to eternal damnation. Longao held the primal chaos axe in his hand and constantly slashed out with starry sky grasp. Spatial cracks appeared in the surroundings, and countless unknown lifeforms attacked continuously. They were like moths drawn to a flame, falling one after another. Although his starry sky crack could temporarily hold them off, it wasn't a solution if this situation continued. It wasn't a long-term solution. What should he do? According to Bayan, all the cultivators and space beasts in the starry sky prison were scattered all over the place. He would be a fool if he tried to persuade them one by one. Not to mention whether he could persuade them successfully, just the problem of time was the biggest problem. He absolutely couldn't do that. Swoosh. Longao's figure instantly disappeared and returned to the primal chaos palace. Although the attack of the unknown lifeform army was crazy, it couldn't seal the surrounding space. Therefore, Longao could enter the primal chaos palace in a matter of minutes. There was no suspense. Inside the primal chaos palace, Longao's face was very solemn. Not to mention the unknown lifeforms and the seal, just the matter of Yunlu fooling him was something he couldn't understand. He didn't know what was going on. Intuition told Longao that Yunlu's origin wasn't simple. Moreover, the matter of the passage wasn't that simple either. Whether Yunlu was friend or foe, he still didn't know. Yunlu. The entire starry sky prison was dark. Longao didn't dare to casually leave the primal chaos palace because once he left, he would be attacked by countless unknown lifeforms from all directions. It was still the same sentence. Fortunately, he had the starry sky crack and the primal chaos palace as his backing. Otherwise, he wouldn't even be able to resist for a few seconds. If that was the case, not to mention 1,000 years, even 100 billion years wouldn't be enough to seal the passage and leave this place. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't depressed. Sitting quietly in the primal chaos palace, Longao's face was filled with depression. Time passed by bit by bit. For a while, Longao couldn't think of a good way to deal with the army of unknown creatures. If this continued, who knew what would happen? Even if he didn't die, he would be sealed here forever. This was what Longao did not want to see the most. Time flew. 300 years passed in the blink of an eye. In other words, there were only 700 years left. If the passageway could not be sealed, then the 3 Chaos Stone tablets of Yunlu and the others would not be able to automatically withdraw. At that time, the army of unknown lifeforms would madly surge into the vast cosmos. In a one-on-one battle, no one feared the army of unknown lifeforms. However, the situation with the unknown lifeform army was a little special. Once the vast space was swept by the army of unknown lifeforms, the consequences would be obvious. Now was not the worst moment. Longao already knew that there was another vast starry sky in addition to the one he was in. He was now certain that countless unknown creatures came from this mysterious vast starry sky. If the seal of another passage in the vast starry sky was broken, it was easy to imagine what the consequences would be. When the time came, there would be countless unknown lifeforms, tens of thousands or even millions of times more powerful than the ones they currently had, pouring into the vast starry sky. When the time came, the vast space would be swept away in an instant. The consequences would be unimaginable. Although, according to Bayan, many rulers of the starry sky had joined forces to seal the passage in the vast starry sky, there were always exceptions. Once the seal was broken, without the cooperation of many rulers of the starry sky, no one would be able to stop it. 300 years, to the rulers of the starry sky and other cultivators of the starry sky, was nothing. It would pass in the blink of an eye. But now, on Jianling Mountain, Yun Lu, Master God Diviner, and the others felt like a year. They knew very well that the longer they delayed, the more disadvantageous it would be for them. Longao still hadn't returned. It seemed that the passage hadn't been successfully sealed. No one was optimistic about Longao's chances, including Yun Lu. Although Yun Lu knew that Longao was fate and was also the key to sealing the passageway, the probability of success was probably less than 10%. Wanting to smoothly seal the passageway was practically an extremely difficult matter. Yun Lu, if Longao fails to seal the passage, what are you going to do? Master God Diviner was very worried that the passage hadn't been sealed. Although he couldn't wait for Longao to die inside, the threat of the unknown lifeforms was still greater. How could Yun Lu not know what Master God Diviner was thinking? However, the big picture was more important. Sometimes, they could even sacrifice Longao for the sake of the big picture. Master God Diviner, let's take 10,000 steps back. If Longao really didn't seal the passage, then with just the few of us, we won't be able to seal the passage and stop the army of unknown lifeforms from pouring out. Although Master God Diviner had already guessed, hearing it from Yun Lu's own mouth still made him sigh deeply. According to Yun Lu, the army of unknown lifeforms inside the passage could even destroy a starry sky ruler. Although Master God Diviner didn't want to believe it, he knew that Yun Lu didn't have to lie to him. If that was the case, then things would be very troublesome. Master God Diviner's expression became more and more serious. Both Yun Lu and Master God Diviner knew that once Longao stepped into the passage, it was unknown whether or not he could come out alive, let alone seal the passage. Master God Diviner didn't want Longao to die inside. If he could seal the passage, then even if he came out, he could deal with Longao. They couldn't deal with the soaring dragon empire now because Yun Lu cared about the passage. If Longao came out smoothly, then Yun Lu wouldn't completely fall out with Master God Diviner for Longao. After all, there was a precedent. Master God Diviner, why don't you and I go in? Forget it. What kind of joke was this? Who knew what the situation inside the passage was like? Once they entered and were surrounded by the army of unknown lifeforms, it would be a problem for them to leave. Starry Sky Ruler was an invincible existence in the vast universe, but in front of an army of unknown lifeforms, it was a little unlikely. In the end, Master God Diviner was afraid. In fact, Yun Lu didn't dare to casually step in. He did it on purpose. However, whether it was on purpose or not, it was a little ridiculous in this situation. 300 years had passed, and there were only 700 years left. To them, 700 years could be said to pass in the blink of an eye. Everyone is worried to the extreme. Furthermore, in Yun He and Yun Tian's hearts, they are extremely angry at Longao. Chapter 26-23. From their point of view, if it were not for Longao breaking the seal, the passage would not have reopened. If it were not for fate, they would not have let Longao go so easily. If they could not seal the passage, the army of unknown creatures would surge out. Even if Longao died 1,000 times or 10,000 times, he would still deserve to die. Yun Lu was not a fool. Of course, he could tell what the two elders were thinking. He did not say much. It was hard to say who was right and who was wrong. Everything was fate. Longao himself was fate. Otherwise, he would not have reached where he was today. The Oracle and Yun Lu each had their own ulterior motives. Even if there were unknown creatures as a threat, it was still the same. That was the cruelty of reality. Soaring Dragon Empire. 300 years passed in the blink of an eye. Yu Yin, Bai Ling, and Xiling did not tell anyone about Jianling Mountain, especially Longao and the others. However, the three girls were very worried. Fortunately, Long Slayer could clearly sense that his master was not dead. Otherwise, the three girls would not have waited for so long without being impulsive. In the 100-flower garden. Sister Yu Yin, Sister Xiling, we can't continue to wait for death. Although Brother Long is fine now, it doesn't mean that nothing will happen in the future. I really can't wait any longer. Bai Ling felt like she was in hell. She was worried about Longao's safety every day. She could not wait to rush to Jianling Mountain immediately to see what was going on. Xiling waved her hand and stopped Bai Ling from being impulsive. Bai Ling, calm down. When Longao stepped into the passage, he repeatedly ordered that no one should go to Jianling Mountain. How could Bai Ling and Yu Yin not know Longao's character? He would rather be in danger than let anything happen to them. That was Longao. The more he was like this, the more worried they were. Sister Xiling, I know what you mean, but we can't just keep waiting here. Yu Yin and Bai Ling had the same idea. They were very worried about Longao's safety. An army of unknown life forms that could kill even a ruler of stars was terrifying. Longao was still in the passageway, which was the base camp of the unknown life form army. He was walking right into a trap. If he was not careful, he might be swept up by the army. The more he thought about it, the more worried he became. The more he thought about it, the more anxious he became. The more he thought about it, the more he couldn't wait any longer. He couldn't wait to go to Jianling Mountain. Xiling knew what Yu Yin and Bai Ling were worried about. So what if he knew? How could he not be worried about Longao's safety? He was completely unable to voice out his bitterness. He could only forcefully swallow his worries into his stomach. For words, considering the overall situation. I'm also worried about Longao's safety, but we have to think about the big picture. Once we go to Jianling Mountain, not only will we not be able to help Longao, but we might also end up making a fool of ourselves. Think about it. At this point, Violet's spirit did not continue, but the meaning of her words was very clear. Bai Ling and Yu Yin weren't fools. Of course, they knew what Xiling meant. It was still the same sentence, so what if he knew? Longao had stepped into the passageway and his life was uncertain. Even if he was fine now, it didn't mean that he would be fine in the future. The more they cared, the more confused they became. The more they thought about it, the more they felt that something was wrong. Yu Yin said, Sister Xiling, I know what you mean, but the place Brother Long stepped into this time is really dangerous. If we don't think of a way, Sister Bai Ling and I will be in trouble. Yu Yin felt like crying, but in the end, she held it in. She sighed deeply in her heart. At this time, Xiling didn't feel the slightest bit of soft-heartedness. She knew that if she was soft-hearted and something happened to her sister and Yu Yin, she wouldn't be able to answer to Longao. She wouldn't be able to get through this alone. Sister Yu Yin, I know the relationship between you and Longao better than anyone else. Because of this, you have to think about the big picture. You can't be impulsive and make the situation irreversible. Creak. Right at this moment. Longao, Long Yi, Mu Lin, and everyone else rushed over. They all looked serious and worried. Grandfather, father, mother, big brother. Xiling's position was very high. She just nodded to everyone. Although many of them had devoured the Chaos Tablet, Xiling was the true ruler of the universe. Without a doubt. Xiling would refine the Chaos Tablet at the first moment and become the ruler of the universe again. So everyone in the Soaring Dragon Empire was very respectful to Xiling. Yu Yin, grandfather is asking you now. Did something happen to Ao? Yu Yin forced a smile and said, Grandfather, you think too much. According to Sister Xiling, Brother Long is still in Jianling Mountain. Once the formation is set up, our entire empire can move to Jianling Mountain. From then on, we won't have to worry about anything. Would Longao believe it? If he hadn't heard anything, Longao and the others wouldn't have come. Yu Yin, you've always been a good girl. Do you think grandfather will believe it? Mu Lin walked over and grabbed Yu Yin's hand. She said worriedly, Yu Yin, tell me. Did something happen to Ao? Please tell me, please. Mu Lin was about to kneel down, scaring Yu Yin. She hurriedly said, Mother, you can't. I'll tell you. Okay. Mu Lin and Long Haoshe had a bad feeling. If it wasn't something serious, they believed that Yu Yin, Bai Ling, and Xiling wouldn't hide it from them. The more Yu Yin acted like this, the more worried Mu Lin and Long Haoshe and the others were. Yu Yin looked at Xiling. Her meaning was clear. Seeing Xiling nod at her, Yu Yin understood that since things had come to this, it was impossible to hide it anymore. Since that was the case, she might as well tell them the truth. This way, everyone could think of a way to help Brother Long. Thinking of this, Yu Yin did not continue to hide the truth. Instead, she told the truth in full detail. The entire 100-flower garden was extremely quiet. Not a single person spoke the truth. Because as Yu Yin narrated, everyone's complexion became extremely heavy. It became more and more unsightly. Everyone knew the seriousness of the matter. This matter had already passed for 300 years. Although Longao had not fallen, it could be said that he had a narrow escape. Yu Yin, why didn't you tell me earlier? However, even after saying the word Yu Yin couldn't say a single word. That was because she felt very guilty. If she had gone to the Sword Spirit Mountain 300 years ago, she might have been able to lend Brother Long a helping hand. Chapter 26-24. Auntie, I told you to hide this from you. Mu Lin seemed to want to say something, but in the end, she swallowed her words. Senior Xiling, how's Aoa doing now? She sighed deeply. Xiling said helplessly, Longao stepped into the passage, so he should be fine. As for what will happen in the future, I don't know. Indeed, they did not know. At this moment, Long Ying took a step forward and said, Grandfather, Senior Xiling, the most important thing now is to think of a way to help seventh brother. Long Haoshe was very calm. He nodded in agreement and said, Ying is right. Now, we must think of a way to save Ao. Everyone returned to the palace and sat down. Xiling and Long Haoshe sat in the main seats, and Long Slayer was also in the palace. Long Slayer cared about Long Ao's life the most. The two of them had already signed a contract. If Long Ao died, there was no doubt that Long Slayer would be the first one to die. Of course, Long Slayer did not want anything to happen to Long Ao. Apart from that, Long Slayer and Long Ao's relationship was obvious. As for whether Long Ao was alive or dead, Long Slayer was probably the only one who could sense it. Long Slayer, how's Long Ao? Long Slayer already knew about Xiling's identity. Long Slayer bowed respectfully and said, Lord Ruler, according to my senses, Master is fine. Hearing this, everyone finally breathed a sigh of relief. It was a blessing in disguise. Everyone, think about it and see if there's any good way to help Ao. Everyone fell into deep thought because the current situation was very serious. If they rashly went to Jianling Mountain, not only would they not be able to help Long Ao, but the gains would also not make up for the losses. If Long Ao successfully sealed the passage and left the passage, and they were controlled by the divine mathematician, then they could imagine what the consequences would be. The grudge between the clairvoyant and Long Ao had reached the point where either one of them would die. Fire and water were incompatible. Going to Jianling Mountain at this time was like walking right into a trap. Thinking of this, everyone's expression became more and more solemn and ugly. Long Haoshe was very worried. He said helplessly, now that things have come to this, we can't just sit and wait for death. We know that we can't do it, but we have to do it. Xiling didn't say anything. Although she was the starry sky dominator, Long Haoshe was the one who called the shots in the Soaring Dragon Empire. As for Long Haoshe's intentions, everyone was already clear. Some things couldn't be done, but some things had to be done. All these years, Ao has been working hard for us. Now that Ao is in trouble, we can't just sit here and wait. Everyone nodded in agreement. No one was afraid of death. Long Haoshe left his seat and came in front of Xiling. He bowed and said, Senior Xiling, do you have any good ideas to help Ao escape? We can't go to Jianling Mountain. No one said anything. Jianling Mountain has been sealed by Yunlu. According to my guess, if nothing unexpected happens, Yunlu will invite the clairvoyant to Jianling Mountain to seal the passage together and stop the army of unknown creatures from sweeping through the vast universe. The clairvoyant's strength was there. If someone in the Empire could refine the Chaos Tablet and become the Starry Sky Dominator, then they could fight against the clairvoyant. But now, looking at the entire Soaring Dragon Empire, no one who had devoured the Chaos Tablet could successfully refine it and become the Starry Sky Dominator. If they fought force with force, there was only one result, and that was death or being controlled by the clairvoyant. No matter which result, no one wanted to see. Senior Xiling, are we just going to sit here and wait for death? 300 years had passed. Who knew if Aoa could successfully seal the passage in the remaining time? If they were unlucky, they couldn't seal the passage and leave the passage. Just thinking about it made them afraid. They didn't want to wait. How could Xiling not know about the worries in the hearts of Longao and the others? It was not that she did not want to save Longao, it was just that the current situation was very special. If one step was wrong, then all the steps would be wrong. Before Longao entered the passage, he repeatedly warned her that if something really happened to the people of the Empire, she really did not know how to explain it to Longao. She was very disappointed and troubled. Her face was also very ugly. After thinking about it, Xiling said, if we go to Jianling Mountain now, not only will we not be able to help Longao, but we will also be schemed against by the clairvoyant. No one said anything, because of course they knew this. Even if it was the clairvoyant in front of them, no one was afraid. Kang Lin is the only one who can help Longao. Other than that, even if you go to Jianling Mountain, it will be useless. Kang Lin? Who was Kang Lin? Everyone knew about the white-clothed girl because the white-clothed girl had been following Longao for hundreds of years. That was not a lie. However, other than Xiling, no one knew that the white-clothed girl was called Kang Lin. Senior Xiling, may I ask who this senior Kang Lin is? The white-clothed girl. So it was the white-clothed girl. After hearing this, no one was surprised. Instead, they became more serious because everyone knew the white-clothed girl's situation very well. No one knew when she would come, and no one knew when she would leave. It was simply impossible to find the white-clothed girl. Not to mention the others, even Longao might not be able to find the white-clothed girl's location. As for the white-clothed girl's strength, it was needless to say. Previously, when the white-clothed girl was unconscious, she was able to defeat the clairvoyant with one move. Thinking about it, one could imagine how terrifying the white-clothed girl was. If that was the case, then finding the white-clothed girl might really be able to help Aoa. The only problem now was where to find the white-clothed girl. I have an idea. Senior, please tell us. It's actually very simple. Kang Lin has been following Longao closely. Although she has regained her consciousness now, I believe she won't leave him in the lurch. You just have to spread the news that Longao stepped into the passage and the army of unknown creatures. Once Kang Lin knows about this, I believe something will happen to her. As for us, we just have to sit here quietly and wait. I will make the decision on behalf of Longao. From now on, including Grandpa Long, without my orders, no one is allowed to take a step out of the Empire. Once they discover someone heading to Jianling Mountain. He didn't continue, but the expression on Xiling's face said it all. Everyone looked at each other. Even if they were worried, they could only endure it. Chapter 26-25. Xiling's threat was very effective. In fact, Longao was very clear about the current situation. If he acted impulsively, the consequences would be unimaginable. In the end, Longao suppressed his impulsiveness. According to Xiling's plan, Longao spread the news. With the Soaring Dragon Empire's strength, it was only a matter of minutes for everyone to know about it in the shortest time possible. In just a few short hours. In the vast starry sky, everyone knew about the Jianling Mountain. The vast starry sky was shaken. Because of the secret of the Jianling Mountain, everyone was filled with fear. An army of unknown creatures that could destroy even the rulers of the starry sky, it was obvious what it meant. Only a fool would believe that they were not afraid. Jianling Mountain. Hearing the report, Master Marvelous Mathematician and Yun Lu's expressions were extremely ugly. They were very curious about who had spread the news. Master Marvelous Mathematician had already ordered that no matter who it was, they could not leak the secret. Yun Lu, what do you think of this matter? The news of the Jianling Mountain will leak out sooner or later. As long as we can completely seal the passage, everything will be fine. If we can't seal it, at this point, Yun Lu did not continue, but the meaning of his words was very clear. Master Marvelous Mathematician was very surprised. Under normal circumstances, this matter should be kept a secret. After all, the matter of the army of unknown creatures could be big or small. Once this matter spread, it would cause panic in the vast starry sky. However, since Yun Lu had said so, and the matter had already happened, there was nothing Master Marvelous Mathematician could do. It was just that continuing to guard like this was not a solution. However, Master Marvelous Mathematician knew that it was impossible to seal the passage with his strength alone. If he could seal it outside, not only would he be able to prevent the army of unknown creatures from entering the vast starry sky, but he would also be able to kill Longao. Wouldn't that be killing two birds with one stone? In Master Marvelous Mathematician's heart, he even wanted to kill Yun Lu. In the vast starry sky, there were very few rulers of the starry sky. Of all the rulers of the starry sky, only the white-clothed girl had truly mastered the power of chaos. As for the others, they could only cough. But now, the situation was completely different. Now that Yun Lu had begun to master the power of chaos, Master Marvelous Mathematician believed that in time, Yun Lu would truly master the power of chaos. If that really happened, even if all the starry sky rulers joined forces, they wouldn't be a match for Yun Lu. If he had known this would happen, he would have eliminated them from the beginning. However, it was too late for regrets. Things had already happened. Plotting to get rid of Yun Lu. It was easy to think about it, but difficult to actually do it. Patriarch, it seems that Longao may not be able to seal the passage. We can't continue like this. We should make plans as soon as possible. How could Yun Lu not understand the intentions of the two elders? His expression was a little unsightly. Could it be that countless years of waiting were all for naught? What do you think? Patriarch, why don't we take a risk and give it a try? If we succeed, then we won't have waited for so many years in vain. Even if we don't succeed, we can just start all over again. Elder Yunhe is right. We don't have much time left. If we still can't succeed, we can only choose to avoid it. He waved his hand. Yun Lu's expression was extremely ugly as he stopped the two elders from continuing. He said, if Longao is still unable to do it after 1,000 years, it seems that we can only take the final step. Unless it was a last resort, Yun Lu was absolutely unwilling to act rashly. He knew very well what the consequences would be if he did that. Yunhe and Yun Tian sighed helplessly. However, since the patriarch had already made such a decision, they couldn't say anything more. In the current situation, they could only take one step at a time and hope that Longao would follow their plan. If there were any mistakes, then all their efforts would be for naught. The three of them were actually gambling, and Longao was the key. After the news was released, everyone had been waiting for the results. They hoped that Xiling's guess was right. If Kang Lin was really willing to help Longao, then with Kang Lin's powerful strength, she definitely had a chance. In the current situation, they could only wait. Wait. Time passed by bit by bit. About a few months had passed. Kang Lin's figure suddenly appeared within the main hall. The people who were still in the midst of discussing what to do, saw the white-robed young lady suddenly appear in front of them. Their faces were filled with surprise. It seemed like Purple Spirit's guess was highly probable. After the news was spread, the white-robed young lady had indeed descended. There was hope to save Longao. Other than Xiling, everyone else should leave. Kang Lin's voice was cold and emotionless. Everyone, including Long Haosha, didn't care at all. After all, Kang Lin's status and strength were obvious. However, Kang Lin was the Starry Sky ruler who had mastered the power of chaos. She was far above the oracle. It could be said that Even if there was someone in the Soaring Dragon Empire who could refine the Chaos Tablet and become the Starry Sky ruler, they would at most be able to contend against the Oracle. It was almost impossible for them to contend against Kang Lin. This was the fundamental difference between those who had mastered the power of chaos and those who had not. This was also the real reason why the Oracle and the others had been trying to obtain the power of chaos from the Chaos Tablet for so many years. Without a word, everyone, including Longao, had left. Only Xiling and Kang Lin were left in the Grand Hall. Xiling wasn't like the others. She only nodded at Kang Lin. No matter what, she was only one step away from Kang Lin in terms of strength. As long as Xiling could obtain the power of chaos from the Chaos Tablet, there wouldn't be much of a difference between their strengths. Kang Lin didn't seem to care at all. She said coldly, "I know about the news you've released. Tell me, what do you want me to do?" Xiling was actually very reluctant to look for Kang Lin. If she had wanted to, she would have done so 300 years ago. Why would she wait until now? However, the current situation didn't allow her to wait any longer. "Do you know about the Jianling Mountain?" Xiling didn't know the true secret of the Jianling Mountain. Other than Yun Lu, no one else knew about it. If not for the fact that Longao had stepped into the passageway and encountered Bayan, perhaps even Longao wouldn't know about the true secret of the Jianling Mountain. "I know. Can you tell me?" Xiling's intuition told her that the matter of the Jianling Mountain was not as simple as it seemed. This time, Longao stepping into the passageway might not be a matter of fate. Xiling was very worried about Longao. As time passed, her worry grew. Chapter 26-26. She nodded. Sure. She was overjoyed. Thank you. Kang Lin found a place to sit down and said indifferently, "The passage to Jianling Mountain is the boundary between this vast starry sky and another vast starry sky." Huh! Xiling was completely stunned by Kang Lin's words. She never thought that there would be another vast starry sky outside of this vast starry sky. Was this true? She couldn't imagine it. If Kang Lin hadn't said it herself, she wouldn't have believed it even if she was beaten to death. It was simply unbelievable. Xiling wasn't a fool. She had already guessed that the so-called army of unknown creatures must have come from another vast starry sky. In the chaotic era, the passage to another vast starry sky was opened and countless unknown creatures poured into the vast starry sky. She wasn't surprised at all because Xiling had already guessed it. At that time, the boundary between Jianling Mountain was a starry sky prison. The starry sky rulers dealt with those who threatened their people. Xiling nodded to show that he understood. Longao is really unreasonable. Even if he broke the seal, he can't enter the Jianling Mountain passage alone. He won't be able to return. It was a death sentence. Xiling wouldn't have believed it if it was someone else who said it. However, Xiling had to believe Kang Lin's words. It was obvious how terrifying this starry sky prison was. Even you can't save Longao? Kang Lin snorted coldly. This matter isn't that simple. There are too many things involved. Longao rashly stepped into the Jianling Mountain passage without thinking about the consequences. Even if I could save him, I'm afraid. This was bad. Violet's spirit was very clear in her heart. It seemed that the two of them had oversimplified this matter. It was a gamble. Not only did they lose the gamble, but it was also possible that the stakes were too high. Longao and himself seemed to have touched something untouchable. Xiling, from now on, you must take care of everyone in the Soaring Dragon Empire. No matter what happens, no one is allowed to leave, and no one is allowed to go to the Jianling Mountain. Before Xiling could speak, Kang Lin had already stood up and left quickly. In a short while, she had disappeared without a trace. He sighed deeply. One wrong step led to many wrong steps. Now, he didn't even have the chance to regret. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have told Longao about the secret of Jianling Mountain. It was all his fault. He had harmed Longao. He felt helpless. He blamed himself even more. Xiling conveyed Kang Lin's message to Longao and the others. Xiling did not agree to go to Jianling Mountain in the first place. Now that Kang Lin had spoken, Longao and the others completely gave up on the idea. With Kang Lin taking action, there was at least some hope. There was no need to stay here and wait. Jianling Mountain. Yun Lu, who had been guarding Jianling Mountain all this time, suddenly raised his head and looked at the endless starry sky. She's finally here. The marvelous mathematician was very curious. He didn't know who this person was, but he was certain that she was a starry sky ruler. Her strength was even greater than his. What a terrifying aura. Who could it be? She arrived in the blink of an eye. The marvelous mathematician was completely stunned by the sudden appearance of the girl in white. He had never imagined that the girl in white would suddenly appear. Moreover, she was no longer delirious. He was no match for her when she was delirious, let alone now. It would be a lie to say that she wasn't simple. Kang Lin, long time no see. How have you been? Kang Lin? The marvelous mathematician stood quietly to the side. He didn't want to provoke this person. If they fought, he would lose without a doubt. Kang Lin snorted coldly. She didn't put Yun Lu in her eyes at all. Given Yun Lu's current strength, no one in the entire starry sky would dare to act like this except for Kang Lin. Even the marvelous mathematician wouldn't casually provoke Yun Lu. The marvelous mathematician wasn't surprised at all. No matter what, Kang Lin had already grasped the primal chaos stone tablet. Her strength was far above Yun Lu's. If Yun Lu had truly grasped the primal chaos stone tablet, there would be some hope. But now, there was almost no need to guess the result. Yun Lu, do you have any shame? Why did you drag Longao into this? What did she mean? The marvelous mathematician was no fool. He naturally understood the meaning behind Kang Lin's words. It seemed that this matter wasn't simple. The reason Longao had stepped into the passage was closely related to Yun Lu. Yun Lu hadn't said anything about this matter from beginning to end. He didn't care at all. Kang Lin, you have to understand one thing. I didn't insist on dragging Longao into this. It was he who broke in and destroyed the formation, allowing the army of unknown creatures to enter the vast starry sky. If I hadn't stopped them in time, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Kang Lin sneered and said, "Don't dawdle with me here. Others don't know what scheme you have, but do you want to hide it from me?" Yun Lu's face suddenly changed. It became very gloomy and as ugly as it could be. Kang Lin, you and I have always minded our own business. Are you going to become enemies with me because of a Longao? Yun Lu was very shocked. He was very afraid of Kang Lin's strength, so he didn't want to provoke her. But he didn't expect that Kang Lin would come to find trouble with him because of a Longao. It was obvious that she didn't come with good intentions. They might even fight later. If they were to fight, Yun Lu wasn't afraid of Kang Lin. However, things had already progressed to this stage. If Kang Lin suddenly intervened, it would definitely spoil the big picture. Yun Lu was definitely unwilling to accept it. It was still the same words. Unless it was absolutely necessary, he wasn't willing to fight with the other party. Kang Lin turned to look at the divine mathematician in front of her and said in an extremely cold voice, "Divine mathematician, this is between me and Yun Lu. It has nothing to do with you. You can leave." If it was someone else who dared to say this, the divine mathematician would have already attacked. Only Kang Lin didn't make the divine mathematician angry. Instead, his face became more and more solemn. From the bottom of his heart, he didn't want to leave because he wanted to know what Yun Lu was hiding. It seemed that this matter wasn't simple. But could he not leave? Definitely not. Although he had only interacted with Kang Lin a few times, the divine mathematician knew very well that if he didn't leave, Kang Lin would definitely attack him without hesitation. There was no need to fight to the death with Kang Lin at this time. "All right, I won't interfere in your grudges. Yun Lu, I'll come back later. There's no need." The divine mathematician ignored Kang Lin and chose to leave. As for the grudges between the two, he definitely couldn't see it. Chapter 26-27. After the clairvoyant left, Kang Lin's expression turned gloomy. It was unsightly. Kang Lin wasn't an ordinary ruler of the universe. She had already grasped the power of chaos, and her strength was far above that of a ruler of the universe. Even the clairvoyant wasn't her match. This was Kang Lin's terrifying strength. If Yun Lu wasn't afraid of Kang Lin, he would have attacked long ago. How could Yun Lu remain silent after the clairvoyant left? Kang Lin, what's your relationship with Longao? Yun Lu was well aware of Kang Lin's identity. Others might not know, but how could he not know? Longao had just risen up. To say that the two people's friendship was a completely nonsensical thing. What does our relationship have to do with you? She didn't care at all. Yun Lu was well aware of Kang Lin's temper. Unless it was a last resort, he was absolutely unwilling to fight with Kang Lin. He would endure if he could. The big picture was more important. Kang Lin, you should know that I've been waiting for this for so long. There can't be any mishaps. If you, without waiting for Yun Lu to finish, Kang Lin said coldly, I don't want to interfere in your matters, but I can tell you clearly that if you want to deal with Longao and use him as a scapegoat, don't even think about it. Yun Lu's expression darkened when he heard Kang Lin's words. It was as ugly as it could get. If Kang Lin insisted on interfering in this matter, it would be troublesome. What should he do? You. Ignoring Yun Lu, Kang Lin took a big stride and disappeared from the spot. She entered the valley's passage and disappeared without a trace. Patriarch, what should we do now? Neither Yun He nor Yun Tian dared to say a word from beginning to end because they both knew what kind of person Kang Lin was. With our current strength, we're still not Kang Lin's match. If we meet force with force, not only will we fail to complete this task, we might even offend her. Yun Lu stopped abruptly, but the two elders understood the patriarch's meaning. Both of their expressions were equally unsightly. The two elders, including Yun Lu, couldn't figure out why Kang Lin would help Longao out of the blue. It was inconceivable. Patriarch, with Kang Lin's strength, if she helps Longao, will definitely be defeated. If we leave now, the passage will be forcibly opened and we won't be able to deal with the aftermath. Nodded. How could Yun Lu not know what the elders meant? This matter. Yun Lu had thought of countless possibilities, but he had never thought of this possibility. Kang Lin's sudden appearance had completely disrupted all of Yun Lu's arrangements. It was even to the extent that all his previous efforts would be wasted. Everything he had done for so many years would have been a waste of time. He absolutely could not be soft-hearted and could not choose to give up. Once he gave up, it wouldn't be easy to find another opportunity. Even if it's Kang Lin, we can't give up so easily. You're right. We can't afford to lose, but we can't afford to lose either. Let's go. Longao had been hiding in the Primal Chaos Palace. He couldn't leave because there were too many unknown creatures outside. They were densely packed. Just looking at them was enough to make his scalp numb, let alone fighting them. He couldn't go on like this. Longao wasn't a fool. He knew that if he continued to stay in the Primal Chaos Palace, thousands of years would pass in the blink of an eye. If he couldn't seal the passage, it wouldn't matter to him, but the vast starry sky would be in trouble. Although the life and death of the vast starry sky had nothing to do with him, it was all because of him. If he hadn't gambled, this wouldn't have happened. No one in the vast starry sky could break the seal except him. Not to mention Yun Lu, even he felt that he was the fate of this sealed passage. Since he was the fate, he had to step out and settle this matter. It was precisely because of this that Longao was a little anxious. This was because 1,000 years was nothing to them. Especially in this kind of situation, it was something that would pass in the blink of an eye. The more it was like this, the more impatient Longao was. What should he do? It was a headache. Longao couldn't wait any longer. He tried to leave the Primal Chaos Palace, but the result was the same. As soon as he left the Primal Chaos Palace, he would be attacked by countless unknown creatures. It was crazy. Even with Ao Long's defense, he could only hold on for a few seconds. If he held on for any longer, he would be surrounded by the unknown creatures. At that time, it would not be easy for him to enter the Chaos Palace. Longao wasn't willing to give up so easily. He counterattacked again and again, hoping to find a breakthrough. But what was the result? In 3 months, Longao tried countless times, but he didn't succeed once. He was a little depressed. Longao couldn't figure out why there were so many unknown creatures attacking him. According to Dao Wu, there weren't that many unknown creatures here. After all, the Star Dominators had destroyed 95% of the unknown creatures and sealed the passage to the vast starry sky. If that was the case, there shouldn't be so many unknown creatures here. After all, the starry sky prison was too big. As for the reason, Longao thought for a long time but couldn't figure it out. After thinking for a long time, he could only come to one conclusion. That was, the unknown creatures here should be guarding the passage. Once the seal of the passage was broken, they could leave immediately and sweep across the vast starry sky. Other than that, he couldn't think of any other reason why so many unknown creatures would gather here. He couldn't figure it out. He really couldn't figure it out. Longao still didn't choose to give up. He tried again and again, hoping to find a breakthrough and contact the others in the starry sky prison. They could join forces to seal the passage here and leave this place. However, according to the current situation, he was a little helpless. He could only hold on for 3 seconds at most if he left the primal Chaos Palace. Any longer and he wouldn't be able to find a breakthrough. Not only that, he was besieged by countless unknown creatures. He didn't even know if he could leave the starry sky prison, let alone find a breakthrough to leave this place. If this continued, there would only be one result. He would be sealed here forever. If that was the case, it would be too painful. This was something Longao didn't want to see. Chapter 26-28. What should I do? Trapped in the Chaos Palace, Longao had no idea what to do. Longao knew that the longer he delayed, the more disadvantageous it would be for him. He had to think of a way to leave this place as soon as possible. No wonder Bayan was unwilling to help him. It seemed that the strength of the unknown creatures was far beyond his understanding. Longao knew that he had underestimated the unknown creatures. However, it was too late for regrets. He could only rely on the Chaos Palace to block the attacks of the unknown creatures. Other than that, there was no other way to destroy the army of unknown creatures. Could it be that he would be sealed here forever? He was unwilling. He couldn't do that. The vast starry sky was still waiting for him. He couldn't give up. Taking a step back. If he couldn't seal the passage within 1,000 years, the army of unknown creatures would sweep across the vast starry sky. If he was unlucky, the army of unknown creatures might sweep across the empire. If that happened, it would be too late for him to regret. He couldn't let that happen. The only solution was to seal the passage completely so that the unknown creatures couldn't leave the starry sky prison. He sat quietly in the Chaos Palace. Longao's face was very solemn, and it was also very ugly. He thought that with the Chaos Palace, he could easily deal with the unknown creatures and seal the passage. However, things weren't as simple as he thought. It was too difficult. Not to mention him, even Yun Lu and Master Godly Mathematician might not be able to do it. Moreover, whether it was Yun Lu or Master Godly Mathematician, they wouldn't take the risk to enter the Starry Sky prison. Even the Starry Sky ruler wasn't confident of winning against the army of unknown creatures. Everyone was selfish. Longao didn't blame Yun Lu for this. Even he was selfish. His imagination ran wild. Longao shook his head fiercely. He held the primal chaos axe in his hand and was ready to continue trying. Swoosh. Longao instantly appeared outside the Chaos Palace. As soon as he appeared, he did not even wait for the surrounding unknown creatures to attack. He had already taken the initiative to attack. He did not attack randomly in all directions. Instead, he chose one point and started to crazily slash out Starry Sky Grasp. Countless cracks in the starry sky swallowed. It was terrifying. In the blink of an eye, countless unknown lifeforms were swallowed by the spatial rift. However, the so-called unknown lifeforms that were devoured were insignificant compared to the army of unknown lifeforms. However, Longao's speed had already soared to the extreme. With the continuous slashes, Longao actually managed to escape. They were like moths to a flame. The unknown life form had no concept of life or death. Even as it watched its companion being swallowed up by the spatial rift, it continued to attack without hesitation. It was not afraid of death at all. This kind of fearlessness of life and death really made people shudder. Apart from this unknown life form, there was probably no other life form in the vast universe that could do this. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he would have found it hard to believe. It was truly inconceivable. This time, Longao held on for a full 6 seconds, longer than any of his previous attempts. Although it was only twice as long, it wasn't easy for Longao. With this confidence, Longao began to attack according to this method. As time slowly passed, the duration of his attacks became longer and longer. From the initial 3 seconds to the middle 6 seconds. In just a few days, Longao was able to hold on for about a minute every time he attacked. What kind of concept was this? Perhaps under normal circumstances, a minute was nothing. However, the current situation was completely different. A minute was a major breakthrough for Longao. After a few months of slaughter, Longao didn't know how many unknown life forms he had killed. However, thinking about it carefully, he had killed millions of unknown life forms at least. It was a little hard to imagine how many unknown life forms there were in the Starry Sky prison. It seemed to be endless and there was no way to kill all of them. If that was really the case, then even if he exhausted himself to death, he wouldn't be able to kill all of them. It was a pain in the ass. Longao still didn't choose to give up. He continued to attack and destroy the unknown life forms. Dao Wu. At this moment, a huge body suddenly appeared and stood back to back with Longao. It began to attack crazily. In this way, the two of them could completely resist the attacks of the unknown life forms for a short period of time. Feeling the huge body behind him, Longao was very curious. He didn't know why Dao Wu suddenly came to help him. It was a little illogical. What was the reason? He couldn't figure it out. Longao couldn't figure it out at all. However, with Dao Wu's appearance, he finally breathed a sigh of relief. Why did you come? After thinking for a while, Longao finally asked. This was because the situation was very special and there was no room for the slightest mistake. He had to figure out Dao Wu's intention first. Otherwise, if Dao Wu stabbed him in the back, he wouldn't even know how he died. As the saying goes, it's better to be safe than sorry. Longao was very careful. Dao Wu seemed to be able to guess Longao's curiosity. He snorted and said, "I don't want to stay here any longer. Instead of having no hope, I might as well play with you. Even if I can't get out or seal the passage, I can still protect myself." Dao Wu was very confident in his strength. As a half-step Starry Sky sovereign divine beast, he usually didn't want to move around casually because the consequences would be unimaginable if he was besieged by an army of unknown life forms. In the end, Dao Wu was still a little pessimistic about himself. Otherwise, he wouldn't have stayed here for so many years and didn't dare to fight against the army of unknown life forms. He had been sealed for too long, so long that even he himself did not know. Precisely because of this, Bian was still prepared to give it a try, because he was very clear in his heart that for so many years, no one had ever entered the vast Starry Sky, except for Longao. If someone said that there was no trace of trickery, he would not believe it even if he was beaten to death. Go all out. This time, Fu Cheng was also gambling. If he won, he could leave this prison and be free from then on. If he lost, he would probably have to pay with his life. This was a problem without a doubt. Perhaps even Fu Cheng himself had thought of this. But even so, if Fu Cheng chose to gamble, he would try his luck to see if he could win. Chapter 26-29. One had to admit that Dao Wu was going all out this time. The combined power of Longao and Dao Wu was indeed terrifying. Even so, the two of them still felt a headache as they faced the unknown creatures that were constantly attacking them from afar. In such a situation, the slightest mistake would cause them to fall into eternal damnation. There could not be any mistakes. Longao, we can't go on like this. Quickly think of what we should do. Dao Wu's face was very gloomy. It was as ugly as it could get. Because Dao Wu knew very well that if they continued like this, they would not be able to return to the forbidden area. There would only be one outcome, which was to be killed by the countless unknown creatures around them. There was no doubt about it. How could Longao not know the meaning behind Feng Wu's words? Dao Wu, let's take a risk. You have to help me. Huh? What did that mean? Dao Wu did not know what Longao meant. But since things had come to this point, no matter what Longao wanted to do, he had to support him unconditionally. What do you want to do? Devour. *CK Dao Wu wanted to scold his father. He had seen people who did not care about their lives, but he had never seen someone who did not care about their lives like this. If there were not many unknown creatures, he could devour them as well. But the current situation was not like that at all. There were too many unknown creatures, so much so that it made his scalp tingle. In just a moment, Dao Wu calmed down. Longao would not have done this if he did not have the slightest confidence. In the end, Longao still had confidence. In any case, he had already chosen to gamble. Since that was the case, what did it matter if he increased the stakes? Thinking of this, Dao Wu did not continue to dawdle. He nodded heavily and said, "What should I do?" If it was any other time or when he left the astral prison, Longao would definitely not do this. Because no one knew if they would be attacked by their own people when they devoured with all their might. However, the current situation was very special. If he didn't put his heart and soul into it, the final result would be a failure. In the beginning, Longao was prepared to devour and refine the undying creatures into corpse slaves. This way, the undying creatures would fight against the undying creatures, and he could take advantage of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to seal the passage inside. It was time to fight. Longao also went all out. Not only did Longao have to deal with the surrounding creatures, but he also had to be wary of Dao Wu. If Dao Wu attacked him, he would be in big trouble. Longao's meaning was actually very simple. He couldn't devour all the creatures around him at the same time. He could only devour the creatures on one side. Since then, Ni only needed to help him fend off the other three unknown creatures. If it was someone else, they wouldn't be able to do it, but Dao Wu could do it. There was no doubt that Dao Wu was a genuine half-step Starry Sky ruler and was only one step away from becoming a Starry Sky ruler. Dao Wu went all out to help Longao fend off the creatures on the other three sides. Longao didn't hesitate and immediately started devouring the creatures in front of him as fast as he could. Countless creatures began to crazily rush into the Chaos Palace. In the blink of an eye, they were refined into corpse slaves by the Chaos Palace's blood pool. It was still the same sentence. If there were a limited number of creatures, Longao could rely on the Chaos Palace to refine them. However, the current situation was completely different. There were just too many of them. Refining for a period of time was fine, but it couldn't go on forever. Poochie. Longao spat out a mouthful of blood. In just a few minutes of refining, Longao had already started to resist. Even so, Longao didn't choose to give up because he knew very well that the longer he lasted, the more advantageous it would be for both of them. He would also have more confidence in sealing the passage. He had to persevere and never choose to give up. Persevere. Persevere. Persevere even if it meant death. Just like that, Longao gritted his teeth and persevered for another 10 minutes. What kind of concept was this? There was an endless stream of creatures all around. They weren't pouring into the Chaos Palace one after another. They were pouring in crazily. Longao couldn't withstand this kind of impact with his strength alone. If this continued, the consequences would be unimaginable. Although Dao Wu didn't know how Longao did it, he could clearly sense that Longao was now seriously injured. If this continued, not only Longao, but even he would suffer. Dao Wu naturally didn't want to sacrifice himself for nothing. He only had one goal, and that was to leave this place. Longao, give up quickly. Do you want to die? Dao Wu was completely anxious. If he knew Longao was so reckless, he wouldn't have chosen to gamble even if he was beaten to death. He had been cheated. However, it had already happened. It was too late to regret. After persevering for another second, Longao disappeared with Dao Wu. The surrounding creatures were shocked because they couldn't understand how this human could disappear under their eyes again and again. Inside the Chaos Palace, looking at the surrounding space, Dao Wu's face was filled with shock. Of course, he knew that the space that Longao had brought him into was a space divine tool. Although space divine tools were rare, there were still countless of them in the vast starry sky. After all, the vast starry sky was too big. No one knew how long they had existed. The only difference was that it could withstand the attacks of the creatures. This space artifact was too powerful. If he could have such a space artifact, he might be able to step into the starry sky prison. It would be a lie to say that he didn't have any greed. However, Bian did not do so, because he knew that Longao must have grasped a space divine tool. Not only that, he always felt that the youth he was facing was not simple. Even if the other party was only a so-called peak starry sky immortal, he still gave him a sense of threat. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed it. Not simple. Longao, your counter-devouring was too risky. Even if you succeed, you will lose your life. Do you think it's worth it? It wasn't worth it. It definitely wasn't worth it. Dao Wu didn't need to say it. Longao knew it too. Dao Wu, you should know the situation better than me. Under normal circumstances, not to mention sealing the passage, even leaving the starry sky prison would be a big problem. What do you think? Dao Wu didn't say anything because what Longao said was the truth. The current situation was very serious. Chapter 2630. Seems like I still can't leave the astral prison. Dao Wu was forced to the extreme. Ever since he was sealed here, even Dao Wu himself didn't know how many years he had been in the astral prison. Long days. Sometimes, Dao Wu even felt like he was digging his own grave. It was painful. It was sad. But what could he do? The astral prison was very big. Even with his powerful strength, he could only stay in the forbidden area and not leave it at all. Once he moved, he would be attacked by countless unknown creatures. It was hard to say whether he would survive. This gamble failed. But the result? Just as Dao Wu was about to give up and see how to return to the forbidden area, the situation changed. I have a way to leave, but the others can't. Hearing Longao's words, Dao Wu was overjoyed. Although he didn't know what Longao was going to do, as long as he could leave this godforsaken place, he wouldn't hesitate to do anything. Longao, what should we do to be able to leave this place smoothly? He couldn't wait. Longao certainly understood Dao Wu's anxiousness. Originally, he wanted to join forces with the others in the astral prison to forcefully seal the passage. But now, it was almost impossible. Longao's intention was simple. He wanted to give them a taste of their own medicine. He wanted to rely on the unknown creature corpse to guard them out of the astral prison. As for using the unknown creature corpse to seal the passage, it was almost impossible. Because even with the unknown creature corpse guarding them, they couldn't stop at all. They had to move quickly. Only then could they leave the astral prison smoothly and enter the passage to return to the vast starry sky. You just need to follow me. He couldn't care less now. Even if he wanted to seal the passage, it would be a fool's dream. Instead of wasting time here, it was better to leave and see if there was any other way. Otherwise, if he wasted time here for thousands of years, he wouldn't even have the time to think of any other way. If that really happened, not only him, but even the vast starry sky would be in trouble. The situation was critical. He could only choose to give up. Thinking of this, Longao didn't continue to hesitate. He roughly checked the unknown creatures he had refined. In just 10 minutes, he had refined tens of thousands of them. In the next second, Longao and Bian instantly left the primal chaos palace and appeared outside. Before the two of them could regain their footing, the countless unknown creatures around them had already begun to attack them in a frenzy. But what was the result? Before the unknown creatures could attack, tens of thousands of them appeared around the two of them. However, not only did this unknown life form and that unknown life form not attack at the same time, they started to counterattack. They seemed to be quite shocked because the surrounding army of unknown lifeforms could not understand why their companions would suddenly attack their own people. The unknown lifeform slowed down a little. Taking advantage of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, Longao immediately began to drive the corpse demon and began to move quickly. Seeing that the situation was working, Yu Jin was overjoyed. If things continued like this, Bian would definitely be able to leave the astral prison. The thought of leaving this damned place made Bian excited. He couldn't wait to leave. Longao's speed was extremely fast. Coupled with the fact that the surrounding creatures were wary of him, the two of them were only a few hundred meters away from the passageway in less than 10 minutes. What did a few hundred meters mean? With Longao and Bian's speed, a few hundred meters was just a matter of a step. Even if the situation was special, the two of them would be able to leave the astral prison in less than a minute and enter the passageway to return to the vast starry sky. As for the situation outside, Longao was still very confident. Because there were Yun Lu and the other two guarding outside and the seal of the 3 primal chaos stone tablets, the passageway could be sealed for thousands of years. Hence, even if the two of them charged out, there wouldn't be any problems. There was only less than 100 meters left. Looking at the passageway in front of them, Longao and Bian were overjoyed. Because they only needed 3 steps to enter the passageway and return to the vast starry sky. But the result? Just as the two of them were 1 step away from entering the passageway, the situation suddenly changed. Countless unknown lifeforms, the moment the two of them stepped into the passageway, directly broke through the seal of the passageway and crazily rushed into the passageway. Longao cursed. Bian never thought that the unknown lifeforms would be so intelligent. In the end, they were too careless. In this way, even if they could leave the astral prison and return to the vast starry sky, countless unknown lifeforms would crazily rush into the vast starry sky and begin to madly sweep through the vast starry sky. When that time came, the consequences would be unimaginable. Longao stopped abruptly. The tens of thousands of unknown corpse slaves in front of him began to madly counterattack. This was because Longao had already thought it through. No matter what happened, he couldn't let these unknown lifeforms charge out. He didn't dare to be sure that the 3 primal chaos stone tablets outside could withstand the attack of the unknown lifeforms. It was really an unknown. If they were unlucky and the unknown lifeforms broke through the primal chaos stone tablets, then he didn't dare to imagine what would happen. Longao, hurry up and leave. Are you crazy? Seeing Longao stop instead of leaving, Bian instantly guessed what Longao meant. He wouldn't do that because the life and death of the vast starry sky had nothing to do with him. As long as he could leave this damned place, it didn't matter whether the unknown lifeforms swept through the vast starry sky or not. We can't let the army of unknown lifeforms enter the vast starry sky. Then I'm sorry. Bian didn't want to stay here any longer. It wasn't easy for him to leave the astral prison. If he stayed here with Longao now, it would be too stupid. He definitely wouldn't do such a stupid thing. Just as Bian turned to leave, before he could even react, he was already sent flying by a white cloak. He spat out blood and his body swayed. His primordial spirit directly exploded and he died. Bian was killed in 1 move. Longao looked at the situation in front of him and was a little dumbfounded. This was because he never thought that Kang Lin would suddenly appear and kill Bian for no reason. He didn't know what was going on. What are you doing here? Longao actually didn't care much about Bian's life because he knew very well that Kang Lin wouldn't kill Bian for no reason. There must be something fishy going on. Chapter 2631. Do you want to die? Longao was a little confused and didn't know what was going on. However, the situation was urgent and it wasn't the time to ask. Countless unknown lifeforms attacked crazily. Even if they knew they were attacking their own people, in order to sweep through the vast starry sky, the army of unknown lifeforms was completely destroyed. Moths to a flame. No one knew if they were dead or alive. The unknown lifeforms didn't seem to know if they were dead or alive. It was too terrifying. Even Longao's scalp went numb in the face of these fearless unknown lifeforms. Because no matter who it was, even if it was the Star Dominator, including Yunlu and the Oracle, it was impossible to destroy these terrifying unknown lifeforms. Seeing Longao ignoring her, Kang Lin became angrier. Longao, come with me. Kang Lin, I don't need to say more about the terror of the unknown lifeforms. I believe you know very well that if I leave like this, once the unknown lifeforms sweep through the vast starry sky, the consequences will be unimaginable. How could Kang Lin not know about this? It was one thing to know and another to do something about it. Kang Lin wasn't an ordinary Star Dominator, but a Star Dominator who controlled the power of chaos. What kind of concept was that? If Kang Lin were to take action, the power would be more powerful than 10,000 Longao. However, Kang Lin wouldn't take action at all. You can't do it alone. Don't be fooled, let's go. How could Longao be Kang Lin's opponent? After being enveloped by her power, he was forcibly taken away. Even if he were to leave, Longao was prepared to abandon tens of thousands of corpse slaves. However, how could tens of thousands of corpse slaves be a match for an army of unknown lifeforms? It was like throwing an egg against a rock. However, the corpse slaves were even more desperate than the unknown lifeforms. One corpse slave could be exchanged for hundreds or even thousands. In other words, tens of thousands of corpse slaves could be exchanged for hundreds of times more sacrifices. It was just a cup of water on a burning cart of firewood. Kang Lin and Longao's speed soared to the extreme. Since things had already come to this, Longao didn't continue to dawdle. Because according to the current situation, if they continued to dawdle, not to mention resisting the unknown lifeforms, it was unknown whether they could even leave. No matter how strong Kang Lin was, it was impossible for her to contend against countless unknown lifeforms. According to their speed, they would be able to leave the tunnel in less than 10 minutes. But what was the result? Just as the two of them were halfway through, the situation suddenly changed. Yunlu, scram. If it were some other matter, Yunlu definitely would not stop Kang Lin. Completely falling out with Kang Lin was obviously not a wise move. Only a fool would do that. But now, the situation was completely different. If he didn't stop them, then all the effort he had put in for so long would be in vain. Yunlu was absolutely unable to accept such an outcome. Kang Lin, although I don't know why you're doing this, you're obviously going against me. You and I have always minded our own business. Why do you have to do this? Even now, Yunlu was still in a state of confusion. He could not understand why Kang Lin would do such a thing. Under normal circumstances, how could Kang Lin help a Longao? No matter how he thought about it, he couldn't think of a reason. Not to mention Yunlu, even Yun He and Yun Tian couldn't figure out what was going on. For the sake of a small Longao, he had shed all pretense of cordiality with them. His brain was really flooded with water. It was difficult to hide one's expression. If Kang Lin insisted on starting a war with the three of them for Longao, the gains wouldn't make up for the losses. Yunlu, I'm not interested in your affairs and I don't want to interfere. But don't you think you've gone too far by dragging Longao into this? Too far? Had he gone too far? Yunlu didn't feel that he had gone too far at all. In the eyes of these star rulers, the people below them were ants that could be killed at any time. Sacrificing a mere Longao was simply a trivial matter. Yunlu wanted to laugh out loud because this was the first time he had heard such a thing. It was really a little inconceivable. Kang Lin, are you joking with me? Yun He and Yun Tian didn't feel the slightest urge to laugh. They were vigilant at all times because they knew very well that a war was about to break out. They had to eliminate Kang Lin as quickly as possible. Given Kang Lin's strength, they definitely couldn't give her any chance to retaliate. Otherwise, they would be the unlucky ones. Do you think I'm joking with you? Kang Lin laughed. However, this laugh was particularly sinister. Even Yunlu was a little afraid because he didn't have the slightest confidence that he could defeat her if the two of them started fighting. In any case, Kang Lin's strength was a little too frightening. Unless it was a last resort, Yunlu was absolutely unwilling to fight with Kang Lin. Kang Lin, what exactly do you mean? Yun Lu realized that Kang Lin wasn't joking, because if she was, she wouldn't have stepped into the passage. After all, he knew better than anyone what the passage meant. He felt helpless and depressed. "Get out of my way. I'm going to take Longao away. As for your matter, I'm still going to say the same thing. I won't interfere in this matter. If you don't leave, then forgive me for being impolite. I can only kill the three of you here." Before Yun Lu and the other two could speak, Kang Lin continued, "Yun Lu, don't continue to challenge my bottom line. If you were at your peak, I might consider it. But now, do you think I'm still afraid of you?" Yun Lu's face turned gloomy when he heard Kang Lin's words. It was as ugly as it could get. Just as Kang Lin had said, if he was at his peak, he wouldn't be afraid of her. However, the current situation was very special. Not to mention himself, even if the three of them joined forces, they wouldn't be a match for Kang Lin. Under such circumstances, the longer the battle dragged on, the more disadvantageous it would be for him. He had to end the battle quickly. Could it be that he really had to fight? Or should he choose to give up? No matter what the situation was, it wasn't something he wanted to see. What should he do? Yun Lu couldn't wait, and Kang Lin couldn't wait either, because she was very worried about Longao's safety. Under such circumstances, she could leave if she made the slightest mistake, but it didn't mean that Longao could leave. After all, Yun Lu and the other two were star rulers. The difference in strength between Longao and the three of them was too great. They weren't on the same level at all. Chapter 2632. She didn't hesitate any longer. Tens of thousands of unknown creature corpses wanting to stop the invasion of the unknown creature army was a fool's dream. It was almost impossible. She had to end the battle quickly. The situation was very dangerous. Kang Lin wasn't worried about herself. She was worried about Longao. 1 against 3. If it were anyone else, it would be like throwing an egg against a rock if they wanted to fight 3 rulers at the same time. It was impossible. Except for Kang Lin. Kang Lin's situation was completely different. Apart from being a ruler of the universe, she also controlled the power of chaos. Her strength was far above ordinary rulers of the universe. "Longao, you go first." Longao didn't hesitate at all. He took a detour and prepared to leave the passage. Longao already knew that Yun Lu wasn't as simple as he thought. If Kang Lin could easily defeat the three of them, he believed she wouldn't be like this. Seeing that Longao was about to leave, Yun Lu and the others were completely anxious. The three of them had waited for so many years and finally got a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If they chose to give it up so easily, they would be a little unwilling. "Longao, if you leave, the three of us won't seal the passage. You should know best what the consequences will be." Longao, who was about to leave, stopped abruptly when he heard Yun Lu's words. Seeing this situation, Kang Lin became anxious. "Longao, what do you want? I can't leave. You go first." In any case, the destruction of the seal on the Sword Spirit Mountain was ultimately caused by him. If everyone in the vast starry sky, including the Empire, were to be implicated because of him, then he would definitely feel guilty for the rest of his life. No matter what happened, he couldn't let the unknown life forms step into the universe. Once the unknown life forms stepped into the universe, there would only be one result: a storm of blood and misery. "Longao, you." Kang Lin was completely enraged because she never thought that even though things had already turned out this way, not only did Longao not leave, he even stopped. Kang Lin wasn't a fool. Of course, she knew what Longao meant. Longao wanted to fight against an army of unknown creatures by himself. He was courting death. Kang Lin was very clear that if Longao wasn't willing to leave, then no matter what she did, she believed that Longao wouldn't leave. The longer this dragged on, the more disadvantageous it would be for him and Longao. He was very anxious. "Longao, let's go." "Yun Lu, stop." Yun Lu and the others had never imagined that Longao would stop at this moment. Because with Kang Lin's obstruction, it was impossible for them to forcefully make Longao stay. Yun Lu and the other two weren't willing to clash head-on with Kang Lin, or even fight to the death. Yunlu knew that if he was at his peak, not to mention the three of them joining forces, even he could fight Kang Lin head-on. But now, the situation was completely different. He was no longer at his peak. Not to mention him alone, even if the three of them joined forces, they wouldn't be a match for Kang Lin. The reason why the three of them were able to withstand the attack temporarily was not because the three of them were strong together, nor was it because Kang Lin was weak. It was because of Longao that the three of them were able to withstand the attack temporarily while Kang Lin was distracted. Although they hadn't been in contact for a long time, Yunlu was very sure that Longao definitely wouldn't leave the passage casually. He left as soon as he said so. Without the slightest hesitation, Yunlu left with the two elders at the fastest speed. In a short while, the three of them had disappeared without a trace. If it was any other time, Kang Lin definitely wouldn't let it go. But now, in order to protect Longao, Kang Lin couldn't be entangled with Yunlu and the other two. Longao, whether you're really stupid or pretending to be stupid, this isn't something you can control. Everything is because of Yunlu. At this point, Kang Lin abruptly shut her mouth, as if there was something she couldn't say. Longao, I can promise you that as long as you leave with me, I'll help you seal the passage. How about it? Really? Longao didn't care what was going on. In any case, he only knew one thing, and that was that the passage seal couldn't be broken. Otherwise, once the unknown creatures surged out of the passage and swept through the vast starry sky, the consequences would be unimaginable. Otherwise, he wouldn't have insisted on staying even though he knew that it would be dangerous for him. Let's go. Since things had already come to this, Longao didn't continue to stay and left with Kang Lin at the fastest speed. Longao naturally chose to believe Kang Lin because he knew that Kang Lin wouldn't trick him. Without Yunlu and the other two obstructing them, with Longao and Kang Lin's speed, they smoothly left the passage in just a few dozen steps. As for Yunlu and the other two, they were no longer guarding the passage because Yunlu firmly believed that as long as Longao didn't leave the passage, Kang Lin wouldn't leave the passage either. If that was the case, they might be able to achieve twice the result with half the effort. Yunlu was a little confused by Kang Lin's sudden appearance. However, Kang Lin's sudden appearance and the relationship between Kang Lin and Longao really surprised him. Originally, it was just Longao alone, so he was a little worried. But now, it was obviously very beneficial to them. Outside the passage. Kang Lin, what are you going to do? Although it sounded simple, it was easier said than done to truly seal the passage. Even Kang Lin wouldn't have it that easy. After all, countless years ago, there were thousands of starry sky rulers in the Chaos era, but they still couldn't completely seal the passage. It was obvious how difficult it was. Kang Lin's expression changed again and again. In the end, she gritted her teeth and said, I, Kang Lin, have been unhindered for countless years. I originally thought that I didn't have any emotions or feelings, but I never expected that I would pay a price for a man today. Karma is reincarnation. Since fate has arrived, I, Kang Lin, will not avoid it. What was this? Could it be that Kang Lin liked him? Longao wasn't a fool. Of course, he could understand the meaning behind Kang Lin's words. Moreover, he could tell that Kang Lin would have to pay a great price to seal the passage. Kang Lin, what's going on? Longao was a little anxious. He didn't know why, but he was always worried about Kang Lin's safety. If anything happened to Kang Lin, he didn't know how to face himself. Nothing must happen to Kang Lin. Kang Lin didn't answer. Instead, a very gentle expression suddenly appeared on her face. It was filled with tenderness, like a little woman looking at the man she loved. Longao was dumbfounded because he was very clear about the meaning behind Kang Lin's actions. Longao, I only want to ask you one thing. Do you have feelings for me? Chapter 2633. Did he have feelings for Kang Lin? Even Longao himself didn't want to believe that he didn't have feelings for her. Ever since Kang Lin started following him, it could be said that she never left his side. Moreover, from the first time he saw Kang Lin, Longao had a very good impression of her. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to have no selfishness in the end. Longao didn't say anything. He only nodded. Because he nodded, it was clear that Longao's answer was correct. Kang Lin smiled. For countless years, she had never liked a man, let alone sacrificing anything for a man. Even Kang Lin herself didn't know how she felt about Longao. Enough. Kang Lin. Without waiting for Longao to finish his words, Kang Lin had already released endless power from her body. Layers of Longao pressed down. Oh no. After sensing that he was suppressed by layers of power, Longao knew that things weren't going well. Kang Lin's strength was too strong, even Longao couldn't break the air shield. Moreover, Kang Lin was doing it on purpose. Not only did she use her own power, she even used the power of a treasure. What kind of concept was this? Longao, you are the first man I fell in love with. For you, I can give up everything. Fate. If not for fate, why would she only follow Longao when she was in a delirious state and never leave his side? Kang Lin, stop. Let's think of a way to solve this. Longao was completely anxious. Because although he didn't know what Kang Lin wanted to do, his intuition told him that it wasn't anything good. It didn't matter if he didn't expose it. Now that things were clear, Longao suddenly realized that he was very afraid of losing Kang Lin. Without a doubt. It seemed that he had fallen in love with Kang Lin. Kang Lin didn't speak anymore, her eyes staring at the passage in front of her. Kang Lin knew very well that although Longao had refined tens of thousands of unknown creature corpse slaves, they couldn't fight against countless unknown creatures. At most, in 10 minutes, countless unknown creatures would emerge. If not for Longao, Kang Lin wouldn't care about the life and death of other people in the vast starry sky. Right at this moment, Kang Lin pointed both her hands at the tunnel in front of her. Waves of energy surged out and began to swarm into the tunnel. A black primal chaos stone tablet floated in front of Kang Lin and began to revolve. Watching Kang Lin's actions, Longao instantly knew what Kang Lin wanted to do. Kang Lin's intention was actually very simple. She wanted to use the power of herself and the chaos tablet to reactivate the array formation and forcefully seal the passage. What the Chaos Stone tablets couldn't do didn't mean that the Super Array formation couldn't. But you have to know. It was precisely because of this formation that the passage had been sealed for countless years. Even after so many years, not a single unknown creature had escaped from the astral prison. Once the formation was reactivated, the passageway would be resealed. However, restarting it was easier said than done. There was no need to ask. Intuition told Longao that even if Kang Lin wanted to forcefully activate the array formation to seal the passage, it would not be an easy task. It was a lingering fear. More than that, he regretted it. If he had known this would happen, he wouldn't have interfered. In Longao's heart, of course Kang Lin was more important. However, it was too late to say anything now. There was no medicine for regret in this world. Longao used all his strength to attack the surrounding air barrier. Even if Kang Lin no longer released energy to strengthen the air barrier, Longao had already calculated that he would need at least a few minutes to break the air barrier. If it was any other time, a few minutes would pass in the blink of an eye. However, the current situation was completely different. A second was a second. He couldn't afford to waste even a second. Who knew what Kang Lin wanted to do? However, Longao was very clear that Kang Lin's words had already made it clear. To reactivate the array formation to seal the passage, Kang Lin would definitely have to pay a huge price. Kang Lin, quickly stop. Seeing Kang Lin's expression becoming more and more tyrannical, Longao's expression became more and more gloomy. No. Longao could clearly sense that the Genling Mountains array formation had begun to recover at an incredible speed. He believed that the array formation would be restored within a minute. Just as he had guessed, Kang Lin had paid an unimaginable price to forcibly restore the Genling Mountains array formation. As for how great a price he would have to pay, Longao could be said to have no idea. A minute passed in the blink of an eye. The destroyed Genling Mountains array formation was forcibly restored under Kang Lin's valiant strength. Not only that, after restoring the Genling Mountains array formation, Kang Lin didn't hesitate and immediately began to seal the passage. This was because Kang Lin didn't have the slightest bit of confidence. Although she could forcibly restore the Genling Mountains array formation, it was still unknown whether she could forcibly seal the passage. Sealing the passage was obviously countless times more difficult than restoring the Genling Mountains array formation. Kang Lin's face was extremely pale and her body was on the verge of collapsing. Longao finally used the primal chaos axe. After dozens of strikes, the surrounding air shield was finally forcibly broken. However, it was obviously too late because after a few minutes of hard work, Kang Lin had successfully restored the array formation and successfully sealed the passage. In other words, even if the army of unknown creatures in the passage could destroy tens of thousands of corpse slaves, they wouldn't be able to take half a step out of the passage. This was the terror of an array formation. Although the primal chaos stone tablet was powerful, the power of an array formation was obviously far above the primal chaos stone tablet. Otherwise, so many star rulers wouldn't have been sacrificed. Longao took a step forward and arrived in front of Kang Lin. He held Kang Lin's trembling body. Longao could no longer control himself because he knew very well that everything Kang Lin had done was because of him. If it weren't for him, with Kang Lin's valiant strength, even if the army of unknown creatures swept through the vast starry sky, Kang Lin wouldn't be affected. It was all because of him. He shouldn't have taken such a big gamble back then. He clearly knew that there must be a shocking secret under the array formation, but he still stubbornly insisted. Now that he had made a big mistake, it was too late to regret. Kang Lin was very weak right now. The primal chaos tablet was protecting her last breath in space. Otherwise, she would have died a long time ago. Her primordial spirit might have even been destroyed. Kang Lin, why did you do this? This is fate. Don't blame yourself. Longao, you must remember to protect my body. With the primal chaos stone tablet's protection, I won't be a true vengeful spirit. Kang Lin, Kang Lin. As soon as Kang Lin finished speaking, her eyes closed. Although she wasn't dead, she was hanging on by a thread. Chapter 2634. Genling Mountain. It was exceptionally quiet, so quiet that it was eerie. Longao hugged Kang Lin quietly. His expression was not as ugly as one would imagine. Self-reproach. Deep self-reproach. He had always had a good impression of Kang Lin. It was just that he did not expose her. Longao never thought that Kang Lin had always liked him. She was even willing to give up her life for him. The more Kang Lin acted like this, the more guilty Longao felt. What should I do? After staying for a day and a night, Longao left quickly with Kang Lin in his arms. In a short while, the two figures disappeared without a trace. 3 days later, Yun Lu and the other two returned to Genling Mountain. Sensing that the array had been restored, the three of them smiled. Patriarch, Kang Lin really did restore the array and sealed the passageway. Yun Lu nodded. Yun Lu could not suppress the joy in his heart and said, Kang Lin's sudden arrival really surprised me. However, this is just the beginning. Yun He and Yun Tian said at the same time, Patriarch, we must not miss this opportunity. We must succeed this time. Soaring Dragon Empire. Longao returned to the Empire with Kang Lin. Yu Yin and the others came one after another when they found out about this. Longao didn't have the slightest bit of hesitation towards his grandfather, Yu Yin, and the others. So, he roughly told them what had happened in the Sword Spirit Mountain. Everyone already knew about what happened in Genling Mountain, but they did not know what was going on. After listening to Longao, everyone's expression was grave. They never thought that Kang Lin would not only go to Genling Mountain, but also pay such a huge price to help Longao seal the passageway in Genling Mountain. As for the relationship between Longao and Kang Lin, as long as one was not a fool, one could guess the relationship between the two. Yu Yin and the others did not say much. In their opinion, Kang Lin was willing to sacrifice her life for Brother Long. Such feelings had already gained their recognition. Xiling, what should I do now? There was nothing he could do. Looking at Kang Lin, whose fate was unknown, Longao had no idea what to do. Longao was very clear in his heart that although Kang Lin had the protection of the primal chaos stone tablet within her body and had grasped the primal chaos energy within it, he was still a little pessimistic. If he was unlucky, who knew what would happen to Kang Lin? At this time, Longao was indeed afraid. Xiling's expression was grave. Of course, she knew that Kang Lin's current condition was very serious. Longao, don't worry. Kang Lin's situation is completely different from ours. He nodded. Regarding the meaning in Xiling's words, how could Longao not know? Although Xiling and the others had devoured and refined the Chaos Stone Tablet, they had not grasped the Chaos Force within the Chaos Stone Tablet. However, Kang Lin had not only devoured and refined the Chaos Stone Tablet, she had even grasped the Chaos Force within the Chaos Stone Tablet. Mastering the chaotic force and not mastering it were two completely different concepts. However, the current situation was completely different. Even if Kang Lin had grasped the Chaos Stone Tablet's chaos force, it would be difficult for her to recover. Longao did not speak, but his expression became increasingly grave. No matter what happened, nothing must happen to Kang Lin. Everyone, leave first. I have something to say to Longao. Don't be too anxious. I know grandfather. Don't worry too much about me. I'm fine. Could they not worry? However, Longao and the others knew very well that even if they stayed, it would not be of much use. They would not be of any help. Not long after. In the elegant room, only Longao and Xiling were left, as well as Kang Lin who was lying on the bed. Longao, you don't have to blame yourself. Just as Kang Lin said, what happened in Jianling Mountain was fate. No one can change it. Not just you and me, I believe even Kang Lin would not be able to reverse fate. Fate. Everything was fate. Longao did not know what fate was, nor did he know if it existed. However, with Kang Lin's strength, she was unable to change fate. One could only imagine what fate meant. Xiling, I know what you mean by fate, but I can't care about it now. I just want to ask, do you have a way to save Uncle Kang Lin? The most important thing now was to cure Kang Lin. Everything else could be left for later. Xiling naturally knew the severity of the matter. He also knew that Longao was blaming himself and feeling guilty. He pondered and began to think of a way to save Kang Lin. In an instant, the entire room became completely silent. Longao didn't speak, and Xiling didn't speak either. As for Kang Lin who was lying on the bed, she didn't move at all. She just laid there quietly. Sky Marshal Continent. The God Diviner had stealthily returned to Jianling Mountain. He was well aware of what had happened in Jianling Mountain. He just didn't spread it. This was a matter between the rulers of the starry sky. Even if it was spread, it would only bring harm. Father, according to what you said, the white-clothed girl paid a huge price in order to restore the formation and reseal the passageway. Previously, because of the passageway, Yunlu stopped us. Now, his wish has been fulfilled. If we make a move now to deal with Longao and the white-clothed girl, we can kill two birds with one stone. How could the God Diviner not know what his son was thinking? He said, I want to go to Jianling Mountain and see what Yunlu is up to. Yunlu had been hiding his strength this entire time. The God Diviner was now very afraid of him. It could be said that in the entire starry sky, other than the white-robed girl, the person he feared the most was Yunlu. Yi Dugu didn't say anything. They should ask Yunlu first. If Yunlu insisted on interfering, it would be troublesome. Jianling Mountain. Yunlu and the other two hadn't left Jianling Mountain. They had been guarding it the entire time. Now that the formation had been restored, the army of unknown lifeforms had been unable to leave. However, Yunlu and the others were still worried. After all, they had waited for so many years. The God Diviner. Yunlu was very curious to see the God Diviner suddenly appear. He didn't know why the God Diviner had suddenly appeared. However, he had 3 rulers of the starry sky on his side. It was impossible for the God Diviner to defeat all 3 of them. It was nonsense. Yunlu, I'm not here for anything else. I'm here for Longao. What do you think? Although the god diviner didn't say it explicitly, the meaning was clear. Yun Lu was no fool. Thinking about it, he said, "From now on, I won't interfere with your affairs." Chapter 26:35. He was very happy. Master God Diviner wasn't surprised in the slightest. He had already guessed that the matter of the passageway had already passed. If Yun Lu still insisted on interfering, then he would be a fool. "I hope you won't interfere this time, or else." The marvelous mathematician did not finish his words, but the meaning of his words was very clear. What about Yun Lu? If it was before, Yun Lu would definitely not agree, even if the person standing in front of him was the so-called marvelous mathematician. But now, the situation was completely different. He had waited for so many years and finally saw the beginning of the end. At this time, it was definitely not the best time to completely fall out with Longao. If he ruined his years of waiting because of this, it would not be worth the loss. "If there are no special circumstances, I won't interfere." Good. After getting the answer he wanted, the marvelous mathematician did not continue to stay, but turned and left quickly. In a short while, he had disappeared without a trace. After the marvelous mathematician left, "Patriarch, are we really not going to interfere in the matter between Longao and the marvelous mathematician?" Yun He and Yun Tian were very curious, and did not know what the Patriarch meant. Longao was obviously the destiny of this matter, and under normal circumstances, the Patriarch should have intervened in the matter between Longao and the marvelous mathematician. But what was the result? "Our most important task now is to settle this matter. As for the grudge between Longao and the marvelous mathematician, I don't want to interfere, lest the marvelous mathematician comes to make trouble." Even so, the matter of destiny was not something they could control. They could not figure it out. They really could not figure it out. If Longao is really the destiny, then there is no need for us to interfere, and the marvelous mathematician will not be able to destroy Longao. Yun He and Yun Tian nodded in agreement. After the marvelous mathematician left Genling Mountain, he immediately began to calculate Longao's specific location. There were two tasks. The first task was to kill Longao and obtain all the secrets on Longao. The second mission was to find the woman in white because she was the key to whether he could obtain chaotic force or not. In the past, Master God Diviner wouldn't have dared to casually look for the girl in white. After all, her strength wasn't just for show. Even he wasn't a match for Master God Diviner. However, the situation was different now. In order to restore the array formation and seal the passage, the white-clothed girl had paid a great price. Even if she didn't die, she wouldn't be far from it. Now was the best time to control the white-clothed girl. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, so how could the godly mathematician give it up so easily? Master God Diviner hadn't been able to calculate Longao's location, much less the white-robed girl. With the two of them working together, it was impossible for Master God Diviner to calculate their whereabouts. Master Godly Mathematician could not do it, but that did not mean that Yun Lu could not do it. Without a doubt, Yun Lu's divination ability far surpassed Master God Diviner. Even so, Master God Diviner didn't say anything to Yun Lu because he knew very well that even if Yun Lu didn't continue to interfere with his feud with Longao, it didn't mean that Yun Lu was willing to help him locate Longao and the white-clothed girl. Since he knew that Yun Lu wouldn't tell him, why would he bother? It was completely unnecessary. Soaring Dragon Empire. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had quietly passed. Longao had been guarding the room all this time because he didn't know when Kang Lin would be in danger. In 3 months, neither he nor Xiling could think of a way to save Kang Lin. It would be a lie to say that they weren't anxious. The longer they delayed, the more disadvantageous it would be for Kang Lin. What should he do? Creak. At dusk, the door was gently opened. Yu Yin walked in from outside and gently sat down beside Longao. From beginning to end, Yu Yin's movements were very light. "Don't worry about me, I'll be fine." Longao's feelings towards Yu Yin had always been very special. Other than love, there was more that he couldn't explain clearly. Sighing deeply in her heart, Yu Yin could clearly sense that Longao's feelings for Kang Lin were very strong. Otherwise, he wouldn't be like this. Brother Ao, sister Kang Lin's injuries are very serious. If we don't think of a way in time, I'm afraid something will happen to her. Yu Yin also didn't want anything to happen to Kang Lin. She loved her man very much because of this. If something really happened to Kang Lin, she didn't know what Longao would do. It was very helpless. Yu Yin, Kang Lin is in this state because of me. If I hadn't opened the array, things wouldn't have come to this. Don't you blame me? Gently shaking her head, Yu Yin smiled and said, Brother Ao, you and I have already devoured the Primal Chaos Stone Tablet. Although I haven't refined the Primal Chaos Stone Tablet, I have some understanding of the Primal Chaos Stone Tablet. This time, Sister Kang Lin has most likely injured her foundation in order to reopen the array to seal the passage. It's almost impossible for us to save Sister Kang Lin by relying on external forces. Yu Yin, what do you mean? Longao would definitely have guessed it if it was earlier. But now, Longao's mind was in a complete mess. The more Longao was like this, the more heartache Yu Yin felt. She said helplessly, external forces definitely won't work if you want to save Sister Kang Lin's injuries. According to my guess, if nothing unexpected happens, Sister Kang Lin wants to recover from her injuries. She might be able to find a way to use the Primal Chaos Stone Tablet in her body to save her. Nodding heavily, Longao felt that Kang Lin's words were very reasonable. After all, Kang Lin's situation was different from others. Not only had she devoured and refined the Primal Chaos Stone Tablet, she had even grasped the Primal Chaos Stone Tablet's Primal Chaos Stone Tablet. If she could use the Primal Chaos Stone Tablet to save her, the chances of her recovery would be very high. It sounded simple, but it was very difficult to actually do it. If Kang Lin could recover on her own, she wouldn't have to wait until now. 3 whole months had passed and there was still no improvement. From this, it could be seen that Kang Lin couldn't do it herself. External forces couldn't do it, and Kang Lin couldn't do it herself. If this situation continued, even if Kang Lin didn't die, waking up and recovering from her injuries would be an impossible dream. Yu Yin, do you have a way? Brother Ao, let Sister Bai Ling try. After all, the two of them are Genling. Perhaps Sister Bai Ling can borrow her origin Genling to trigger Sister Kang Lin's origin Genling. If that's the case, we still have a very good chance. As soon as Yu Yin finished speaking, Longao's figure had already disappeared. He believed that Yu Yin was right. This was a method within a method within a method, and it was also a method within a helpless situation. Chapter 2636. After finding Xiling, Longao didn't hesitate and told Xiling everything about Yu Yin's plan. Xiling definitely wouldn't reject it. No matter what the method was, as long as it could save Kang Lin, Xiling would definitely agree. He was very curious. Longao, who told you that Kang Lin has the source of Genling in her body? Yu Yin. Longao was too anxious and didn't think about it carefully. But now, it didn't make sense. Everyone knew. Xiling and Bai Ling were both Genling, so they definitely had the source of Genling in their bodies. But what about Kang Lin? Kang Lin wasn't a Genling, so how could she have the source of Genling in her body? That was complete nonsense. Other than that, even if Kang Lin had the source of Genling, why did Yu Yin only ask him to find Bai Ling and not Xiling? After all, Xiling had swallowed the Chaos Stone Tablet. Whether it was strength or source of Genling, it was far above Bai Ling. What was going on? Not good. Longao and Xiling looked at each other and saw the curiosity in each other's eyes. They didn't know what was going on. Su. Xiling and Longao were very clear that things weren't that simple. The two immediately left and rushed towards Kang Lin's room. Their speed increased to the maximum. With Xiling and Longao's speed, they arrived in the blink of an eye. Yu Yin, what are you doing? This time, Longao was really angry. He came to Yu Yin's side and saw that Yu Yin's face was pale. She was using her Chaos Stone Tablet to try and heal Kang Lin's injuries. It seemed simple, but it was actually very dangerous. There was a 90% chance of dying. How could he not be angry? If something were to happen to Yu Yin in order to save Kang Lin, how could he face Yu Yin? Even he himself would not be able to pass this trial. It was too terrifying. But in the end, he was still a step too late. Yu Yin had clearly tried. Looking at the situation, there was no doubt that Yu Yin had not succeeded in using the Chaos Stone Tablet in his body to heal Kang Lin's injuries. He hugged Yu Yin. Yu Yin, what are you doing? Although his voice was filled with endless anger, Longao's face was filled with endless worry. He knew very well that if Yu Yin took another step forward, the consequences would be unimaginable. Yu Yin's face was full of self-blame. Brother Ao, I'm sorry. I didn't heal Sister Kang Lin's injuries. Looking at the apologetic Yu Yin, Longao wanted to kill himself. He gently carried Yu Yin and left. Before he left, he said, Xiling, I'll leave Kang Lin to you. Nodding, Xiling did not say anything. This matter touched Xiling because she never thought that Yu Yin would do such a thing. If it was her, could she really do it? Violet Spirit asked herself honestly. If it were her, accepting Kang Lin would already be her limit, not to mention risking her life to save the person she loved. That would be a bit of a nonsensical thing. Xiling's courtyard. Longao's heart ached. Fortunately, Xiling was fine and just needed to rest quietly. He said, Yu Yin, why do you have to do this? Brother Ao, I don't want to see you like this. Sister Kang Lin is willing to give up her life for you. Just based on this, I can give up everything to save her. In the end, Yu Yin was not doing it for Kang Lin, but for himself. The more she was like this, the more guilty and self-blaming he felt. You're too stupid. If something were to happen to you, Longao did not know what to say. He was helpless. Brother Ao, I know I'm wrong. All right, have a good rest. Longao continuously transferred his energy into Yu Yin's body. In just a few minutes, Yu Yin fell asleep. Standing up, Longao sighed deeply. Fortunately, Yu Yin was fine this time. Otherwise, he really did not know what to do. Returning to Kang Lin's residence, he came to Kang Lin's side. Looking at Kang Lin who was lying on the bed, he said, Xiling, we have to find a way to save Kang Lin as soon as possible. Otherwise, I don't know what will happen in the future. Xiling nodded. Of course, she knew what Longao was worried about. It was better to be safe than sorry. If something were to happen to Yu Yin and the others, she really did not know what Longao would do. Longao, Kang Lin's injuries are very serious. She must have hurt her foundation. Although the Chaos Stone Tablet is fine, Yu Yin is right about one thing. It's impossible to rely on external forces to heal Kang Lin's injuries. We have to let Kang Lin recover on her own. Only then can we hope to heal Kang Lin's injuries. How could Longao not know about this point? It was easy to say, but it was extremely difficult to do. They did not even know where to start. What should they do? Looking at Kang Lin who was lying quietly on the bed, Longao's expression became more and more serious. Sighing deeply, he said helplessly, no matter what happens, I have to heal Kang Lin. Xiling did not say anything more. Things had already come to this. She did not know what to say because even she did not have the slightest solution. Kang Lin's situation was very special. It was different from ordinary people. Not only did Kang Lin devour and refine the Chaos Stone Tablet, she even grasped the Chaos Force within the Chaos Stone Tablet. Ordinary star rulers would not be able to do anything. However, looking at the entire vast universe, there seemed to be no other star ruler besides Kang Lin who could grasp the Chaos Force. In this way, it was simply impossible to cure Kang Lin. For a moment, neither Longao nor Xiling had a solution. Inside the palace. Big brother, you're looking for me? Longao was very curious. He did not know why his big brother was suddenly looking for him. However, in the current Longao Empire, his big brother was the emperor. Longying already knew about Kang Lin's matter. She felt very helpless and did not mention it. At the very least, it was better not to mention it until there was no other way. Seventh brother, the main reason I called you here is because of the Empire. According to what you said before, Yunlu will definitely not interfere with the grudge between you and Master God Diviner. That way, Master God Diviner will definitely be able to lock onto our position. Before we refine the Chaos Tablet, it will be very difficult for us to deal with Master God Diviner and the 9 starry sky empires. So that was it. In an instant, Longao already knew what his big brother meant. During this period of time, he had neglected this matter because of Kang Lin. As his big brother said, if Yunlu did not interfere, the Oracle would definitely do everything possible to deal with him and the Empire. If the Empire was really locked onto by the Oracle, the consequences would be unimaginable. Longao's mind was in a mess. He did not know what to do. Instead, he asked, "Big brother, do you have any good ideas?" Chapter 2637. Relocate the Empire. This was the only way out of desperation. Under these circumstances, only by relocating the Empire could they be 100% safe. Relocating the Empire was easy on the surface, but in reality, it was extremely difficult. Whether it was Longao or Longying, they knew better than anyone else how difficult it was. The vast starry sky was boundless. But to find a place in the vast starry sky that even the Oracle couldn't calculate was easier said than done. It was truly a troublesome matter. Although Longao was confident that the Oracle couldn't locate the Empire for the time being, it didn't mean that the Oracle wouldn't be able to do so for the rest of his life. It was just as his big brother said. As long as no one in the Empire could refine the Chaos Tablet and become the ruler of the starry sky, the Empire wouldn't be able to contend with the Oracle. The more he thought about it, the more troublesome it was. The more he thought about it, the more helpless he felt. He had thought that with the protection of Genling Mountains formation, the Empire would be able to sit back and relax. But he had never imagined that the Genling Mountains formation was meant to suppress the army of unknown creatures. His gamble had failed. Not only had he failed to find a place for the Empire to live, but he had also caused Kang Lin's fate to be unknown. If he had known this would happen, he would never have done that. "Seventh brother, why don't I go out and look for it myself?" He waved his hand. Longao naturally couldn't let his big brother take the risk, especially at this time when the 9 starry sky empires and the Oracle wanted nothing more than to deal with them. Once his big brother went out, who knew what would happen? This was a risk he absolutely couldn't take. "Big brother, I know what you mean. Leave this matter to me." Longying also knew the seriousness of the matter. The slightest mistake could lead to the destruction of the Empire. "You have to be careful." At this moment, Longao felt a headache. On one side was Kang Lin's injury, and on the other was the safety of the Empire. Both sides were very important and couldn't be delayed. With the threat of the 9 starry sky empires and the Oracle, Longao knew very well that he had to be careful when relocating. There couldn't be the slightest accident. Where should he go? After much thought, Longao still couldn't think of a good place. In the courtyard. Longao sat quietly by himself. His face was very ugly and his eyes were tightly shut. The entire courtyard was very quiet. Under normal circumstances, no one was allowed to enter without his permission. However, this did not include his grandfather and the others. "Primal Chaos Rock, how are your injuries?" Longao slowly opened his eyes and looked at the primal chaos rock in front of him. He forced a smile. When the primordial rock was at its peak, it was far stronger than Master God Diviner. However, the current situation of the primal chaos rock was different. His injuries were very serious. According to the primal chaos rock, his injuries could not be healed in this lifetime. At most, he could recover 60% of his injuries. Only 60% was enough to defeat a half-step starry sky ruler. It was a fool's errand to think that he could contend with the astral ruler. It was precisely because of this. Longao couldn't figure out why the chaotic giant rock would suddenly come to find him. What was the reason? "Longao, I already know what happened to you recently. I can't do anything about her injuries, but I can think of a way for you to move to another place. You have a place to transfer to?" Hearing the primal chaos rock's words, Longao was overjoyed and couldn't wait to ask. Of course, the primal chaos rock knew Longao's eagerness and said, "Although my injuries are very serious and I can't recover to my peak, I have full confidence that if I use all my strength to set up a shield, as long as it's not a starry sky ruler who has mastered the power of chaos, no one can lock the position of this place, including Master God Diviner." Longao had no doubts about the primal chaos rock. Now that he and the primal chaos rock were on the same boat, the primal chaos rock would not harm him at all. Primal chaos rock, you mean we don't need to move at all? Longao certainly knew what the primal chaos rock meant. With the help of the primal chaos rock, it was the same no matter where they were. He nodded. "You're right. I've been setting it up for a long time. According to my calculations, I can set it up successfully in less than 3 years, and Master God Diviner won't be able to lock the position of the Empire in 3 years. He was pleasantly surprised. Originally, he was having a headache about the transfer of the Empire, but he never thought that things would take a turn for the better. In this way, he no longer had to worry about the safety of the Empire. "Many thanks. You and I are partners, there's no need to thank me." The primal chaos rock didn't stay any longer and continued to set up a shield around the Empire because he was very clear about the seriousness of the matter. The slightest carelessness could completely destroy the Empire. It was still the same sentence. The speed had to be fast because the primal chaos rock didn't want anything to happen to Longao and the Empire. After all, they were on the same boat. If something happened to Longao and the Empire, it wouldn't be good for him. With the help of the primal chaos rock, Longao was temporarily relieved. Now, the most important thing was to think of all ways to save Kang Lin. The longer they delayed, the more disadvantageous it would be for Kang Lin. Outside the martial heaven continent. "Longao, I really didn't think you would dare to come. You really don't know life from death." Yi Dugu and the Master God Diviner couldn't understand the sudden appearance of Longao. Since Longao clearly knew that the two of them wanted to deal with him, why did he insist on doing this? However, the Master God Diviner still didn't have much confidence. If it had been anyone else, with his power, he could have done it in a matter of minutes. The only exception was Longao. Even now, the Master God Diviner didn't know the origin of Longao's divine item. Even he couldn't lock onto its position. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he would have found it hard to believe. Longao sneered. Looking at the Master God Diviner and Yi Dugu, he icily said, "Master God Diviner, I will naturally settle our enmity in the future. But right now, I just want to talk with you. How about it?" "Talk about what?" The Master God Diviner knew that in this situation, he absolutely couldn't give Longao any chance to react. Otherwise, if Longao hid in his spatial divine item, even he wouldn't be able to do anything. Although it was easy to think about it, it was difficult to actually execute. After all, Longao's situation was a bit special. It was very troublesome. He had to grasp the right time and opportunity. How could Longao not know what the Master God Diviner was thinking? If he was afraid, he wouldn't have come alone. With the protection of the Primal Chaos Palace, Longao didn't fear the Master God Diviner and Yi Dugu. Chapter 2638. Master God Diviner, it won't be that easy for you to kill me. Neither Master God Diviner nor Yi Dugu said anything, because neither of them knew why Longao had come. Longao didn't care. "I can even say that even if you're the Starry Sky Sovereign, you won't be able to locate the Soaring Dragon Empire." In response, Master God Diviner's face turned even darker than before. Humiliation. Enormous humiliation. Master God Diviner had always been confident in his Tao of divination. Only in the matter of Longao, it was simply a disgrace among disgraces. The God Diviner suppressed the anger in his heart. He knew that he had to kill Longao in one strike. He couldn't give Longao any chance to escape. In the end, Master God Diviner was very wary of Longao's spacetime artifact. If Longao hid in it, he wouldn't be able to do anything to him. Even Master God Diviner coveted Longao's spacetime artifact. "Master God Diviner, why don't we make a deal? Let's hear it." Master God Diviner and Yi Dugu were very curious about what Longao was up to. Deal? What deal? With my current strength, I can't kill you. Even if you're as strong as the heavens, you can't locate me. Don't you agree? Yi Dugu nodded. Even if he didn't want to admit it, the truth was right in front of him. He had no choice but to believe it. He sneered inwardly. Longao knew how angry Master God Diviner was. Other than the Starry Sky Sovereign, he was the only one who could make Master God Diviner so helpless. However, Longao knew that this was because Master God Diviner hadn't mastered the primal chaos energy in the tablet. No matter what. Mastering primal chaos energy and not mastering primal chaos energy were two different concepts. Longao was certain that if Master God Diviner really did master the primal chaos energy in the tablet, he could lock onto the soaring Dragon Empire's position in minutes. The consequences would be unimaginable. However, he wasn't worried about this at all. Controlling the primal chaos energy within the primal chaos stone tablet was easy to think about, but it was extremely difficult to actually do so. If it were that simple, Master God Diviner and the others wouldn't have waited for so many years. Just thinking about it made one realize just how difficult it was to control the primal chaos energy within the primal chaos tablets. The promise of 10,000 years. The marvelous mathematician and Yi Dugu remained silent, but they had already guessed the meaning behind Longao's words. The promise of 10,000 years. What a good 10,000-year promise. Within 10,000 years, you and I cannot fight each other. You also do not continue to lock onto the position of the soaring Dragon Empire. I will also not find an opportunity to kill Yi Dugu. You. Hearing Longao's shameless boasting, Yi Dugu's expression suddenly changed. He had seen arrogant people before, but he had never seen someone so arrogant. Longao's arrogance was truly shameless. He had already devoured and started to refine the Chaos Stone tablet. He believed that once the time came, he would be able to smoothly become a ruler of space. Longao? How could he fight him? It was simply the ravings of a lunatic. He didn't know what Longao was thinking. What gave Longao such courage and confidence? What a ridiculous thing. Yi Dugu's face was filled with contempt and ridicule. If not for his father forbidding him to act, Yi Dugu would have torn Longao to shreds. Master God Diviner wasn't like Yi Dugu. He didn't know why, but he had a bad premonition in his heart. This was because he had never imagined that Longao's cultivation speed would be so fast. In such a short time, he had already broken through to the peak of Starry Sky Immortal Realm. This kind of cultivation speed and talent could completely dominate the vast universe. No one could compare. Even if Dugu had already devoured the primal Chaos Stone tablet, it was almost impossible for Dugu to defeat Longao now. Once the two of them started fighting, there would only be one result: Longao would kill Dugu. Although Master God Diviner didn't want to believe it, the truth was the truth. Whether or not I have the qualifications isn't up to you, nor is it up to me. It's up to strength. Yi Dugu, don't think that just because you devoured the primal Chaos Stone tablet, you're unrivaled. I can tell you clearly that if you hadn't been hiding in the Martial Heaven continent, and I didn't want to completely shed all pretenses with your father, you would have already died. You. Master God Diviner waved his hand, stopping Yi Dugu from speaking further. Father. Shut up. Yi Dugu was very curious to see his father so close to him. He didn't know what was going on with his father at this moment. He seemed to be very afraid of Longao. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he would have found it hard to believe. Was this for real? Longao, continue. Master God Diviner looked at the confident Longao. Originally, he had been thinking of killing him in one blow, but he quickly dismissed that idea. He only had one son, and he couldn't afford to lose him. He understood Longao's character. If Longao really didn't care about anything, then even he wouldn't be able to do anything. I won't kill Yi Dugu, and you won't lock onto the soaring Dragon Empire's position. For 10,000 years, we'll live in harmony. However, after 10,000 years, I'll personally come to the Martial Heaven continent. At that time, no matter how strong I am, I won't hide. I'll definitely fight you to the death. How about that? Before Master God Diviner could say anything, Longao had already sworn a blood oath. This matter was already set in stone. Yidugu didn't say anything. He couldn't make a decision on this matter. He could only look at his father, wondering what his father would choose. Master God Diviner didn't say anything. Longao also didn't say anything. Yidugu also didn't say anything. For a moment, the surroundings were silent. Time trickled by. After an unknown amount of time, Master God Diviner suddenly raised his head. 2 rays of golden light shot out of his eyes. Longao, I'll make a 10,000-year agreement with you. Longao had already sworn a blood oath, so Master God Diviner had no reason to not believe him. Furthermore, he had also sworn a blood oath. Yidugu was very curious. He didn't know what was going on with his father. Why would he suddenly do something like this? Did he really believe Longao's shameless boasting and think he could kill him? That was too ridiculous. However, Yidugu didn't say anything to stop him. He knew that since his father had already made his decision, even if he tried to stop him, it wouldn't be very likely. Fortunately, they only needed to wait 10,000 years. Even if Longao's talent was extraordinary, it was impossible for him to become the ruler of the starry sky in 10,000 years. Chapter 2639. After the 10,000-year agreement was settled, Longao turned and quickly left. From the beginning to the end, neither the godly mathematician nor Yidugu made a move to stop Longao as he gradually disappeared. Dugu, are you unwilling to accept this? Yidugu nodded. Although Yidugu did not speak, the expression on his face said it all. Even now, Yidugu still could not figure out why his father had made a 10,000-year agreement with Longao. It was a bit ridiculous. Even if Longao's talent was extraordinary, even if his cultivation speed was a bit unfathomable, compared to his father, he was not on the same level. If his father wanted to kill Longao, it would be a matter of minutes. It was precisely because of this. Yidugu could not figure out why his father had not killed Longao, but had instead made a 10,000-year agreement with Longao. Very helpless. Yidugu sighed deeply. Dugu, if I had full confidence, how could I have made a 10,000-year agreement with Longao and not killed him? Hearing his father's words, Yidugu was a little shocked, as if he had guessed something. Was this true? If his father had not said it himself, he would not have believed it even if he was beaten to death. Dugu, I really do not have the slightest confidence that I can kill him in one strike. Longao is a mystery, a variable, and a fate that even I cannot calculate. The more he thought about it, the more helpless he felt. The more he thought about it, the more depressed he felt. Longao's variable made him feel a little helpless. If he had known earlier, he would have killed Longao as soon as possible, but now he did not even have the chance to regret. Yidugu did not speak, because he already knew what his father meant. Unable to kill him in one strike. He knew very well how helpless his father was when he said such words. Besides, I firmly believe that as long as Longao is willing, he will be able to find a chance to deal with you. Yidugu disagreed. Although Yidugu admired Longao's cultivation talent and cultivation speed, Longao wanting to kill him was a bit of a fool's dream. It was almost impossible. Yidugu had successfully broken through the limit of the starry sky immortal realm. He was only one step away from achieving the realm that everyone dreamed of, the so-called starry sky ruler. Since they were both at the peak starry sky immortal realm, what qualifications did Longao have to kill him? It was a complete joke. How could Master God Diviner not know what his son was thinking? He felt helpless. Although Master God Diviner didn't want to believe it, for some reason, he didn't doubt it at all. Longao was right. The reason why he didn't attack Yidugu was because he didn't want to fight to the death with him. He had his fears, and so did Longao. It was precisely because everyone had their own fears that both sides had made the 10,000-year agreement. Dugu, this matter is already in the past. For the next 10,000 years, you don't need to do anything. All you need to do is completely refine the Chaos Tablet and become the ruler of the universe. The ruler of the universe was an invincible existence in the vast universe. Both Yi Dugu and Master God Diviner firmly believed that even if Longao's talent was extraordinary, and even if Longao had devoured the Chaos Tablet, it was almost impossible for him to refine the tablet and become the ruler of the universe in 10,000 years. As long as Longao didn't become the ruler of the universe, then even if Yi Dugu couldn't refine the tablet and become the ruler of the universe in 10,000 years, Master God Diviner was still there. No matter what, Master God Diviner was still the ruler of the universe, and a veteran at that. If he wanted to kill Longao, he could do it in a matter of minutes. As long as Yun Lu and the white-clothed girl didn't act, Longao wouldn't be able to defeat them. He seemed to think of something. "Father, are we not going to deal with the white-clothed girl?" Yi Dugu couldn't figure out why his father was willing to give up on the white-clothed girl. After all, she was the key to his father's control of the chaos. At the mention of the white-clothed girl, Master God Diviner sneered. "Although I made a 10,000-year agreement with Longao, it doesn't mean others can't deal with Longao." What did that mean? Longao's cultivation had smoothly broken through to the Starry Sky immortal realm. Only half-step or Starry Sky rulers could deal with Longao. If half-step Starry Sky rulers had the ability to kill Longao, they wouldn't have to wait so long. Again, Longao wasn't just strong, he also had a space-type artifact. Longao's greatest reliance was his space-type artifact. Otherwise, even if Longao had 3 heads and 6 arms, he wouldn't have survived until now. What did that mean? "Father, what do you mean?" Master God Diviner smiled. "The other rulers of the universe." So that's how it was. According to Master God Diviner, Yi Dugu already knew that many of the other rulers of the universe had successfully refined the tablet and become the ruler of the universe again. It was easy to say, but difficult to do. Relying on the other rulers of the universe to deal with Longao was a little difficult. After all, everyone had their own selfish motives. Unless Yi Dugu paid a great price, it was impossible to succeed. What did Yi Dugu want to do? The previous 12 rulers of the universe were Master God Diviner, Yi Dugu, Blood Devil, Dragon Destroyer, Ruo Mu, Luo Mu, Xiling, Long Chong, Long Ming, Tian Dao, Yi Ji Mai, and Shen Tong. 80% of them had refined the tablet and become the ruler of the universe again. Under normal circumstances, it wouldn't be easy even for a ruler of the universe to refine the tablet. However, Blood Devil and the others had found their own opportunities. That was why they could refine the tablet so quickly. Other than Master God Diviner, who was the sovereign lord of the Starry Sky, the other 11 were Violet Spirit. Long Chong had yet to fully assimilate the primal chaos stone steles and become the sovereign lord of the Starry Sky. As for the other 9, they had already found their own opportunities, and were able to fully assimilate the primal chaos stone steles and become the sovereign lord of the Starry Sky again. Was there some kind of arrangement? Among the 11, only Long Chong, who was with Longao, and Violet Spirit did not refine the Chaos Tablet to become a ruler of stars. The rest of them had already refined the Chaos Tablet to become a ruler of stars. To say that this was a coincidence was too much of a coincidence. Soaring Dragon Empire. Xiling hurried to find Longao, looking very anxious. "Xiling, what happened?" After resolving the matter of Master God Diviner, Longao had a lot less to worry about. Could something have happened to Kang Lin? At Xiling's repeated requests, Longao returned to his residence to rest. Kang Lin was in Xiling's care. Xiling had come to find him so anxiously. Perhaps something had happened to Kang Lin. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories,